ensure that you are having, more energy coming out of the body. Energy is very important in the interview. You need to have the energy levels need to be up. You need to look very bright and fresh. So maybe it can happen that you are the last person to be interviewed, and from morning till late evening you are sitting. So the interviewers will naturally be tired, but then they are not giving the interview. So you have to, even, if you're the last person, like the last man standing, and you have to behave as if it was the first interview. So be loud. So we'll start Abhas Goyal's interview. Abhas, my first question to you is, if I offer you a chance to do a PhD course from MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, in an area of your choice, or a seat in IIM Ahmedabad, which would you like to go for, and what is your rationale behind it?
So if I am offered a PhD seat at MIT versus a seat at IIM Ahmedabad, I would, for the current, where I stand currently, I would undoubtedly choose IIM Ahmedabad. The primary...
First, hold on. So these interviews which I'll be taking today, they'll be like, if you would have seen the series Office, it's a mockumentary. So in between the interview, only I'll be pausing, and a feedback will be given for everyone. So like a mockumentary, this is an interview which is having a class inside the interview. Both are going simultaneously. Whenever asked a question, not only to Abhas, to everyone, whenever asked an important question. So this boy, Abhas Goyal, he is basically coming from BTech background. No, he's coming from BS MS economics background. So if suppose he's given a chance to further, study. So whenever a question is asked, which is like a question where you may not be sure whether you have prepared about it or not, right? Abbas, have you prepared about this question? No, right? No. So you have to take some time. I understand, students, that there'll be a lot of pressure to automatically, come up with something. But the question asks for the rationale. So like you have to come up with parameters and what weightage you like to give to the parameters. It's like a lot of you guys will be talking about having an interest in consulting also, right? So from that perspective, whenever you are given a question which is like a problem, or which is like, something which requires a solution framework, so you need to give some time to build the solution framework, and you can even use a paper to build a solution framework. This is just an observation. Now we come back to the actual interview of Abbas. Yes, Abbas.
So where I stand currently, I'd like to choose IIM Ahmedabad any day over MIT PhD. The first one being that a PhD is a long-term commitment which requires me to dedicate about 5 years of my life trying to pursue.
So are you basically short-term guy?
Not a short-term guy.
Short-term. So the first thing I can make out about you, Abbas, is like you are one of those people who just want the shortcut guy.
No, so I'm not saying that an MBA for 2 years would be...
What do you know about the marshmallow experiment, Mr. Abbas Goyal?
Sir, I'm not aware of that.
Have you heard about this marshmallow experiment?
No, I have not.
Basically, the experiment proves that those people who are able to give a longer time for something to happen, whether it's a learning or a process, they are going to reap much better dividends than those people who have taken a decision on the basis of, okay, it is a short-term thing, or only, it's going to consume less amount of time.
So
it's like you were placed inside a, room.
So my rationale is not just based on the time factor. It depends on the time.
So that's the first thing you told me. What's the second thing? What's the second thing? Tell me the second reason.
The second reason being that I am still a confused person about what part or what field I want to make a career in.
You're a confused person. You are a shortcut guy and a confused person right now. I hope you are aware that many people have 100% clarity when they are giving their IIM Ahmedabad interview, that they want to be selected.
Yes, I am
what
sure.
Is the third reason?
To the people who've got 100% clarity, kudos to them. We should always keep learning in life and trying to explore as many things. We are not here for your
sermons, Abhas. We are not here for your sermons, kudos and all those things. Okay, again, we are making a pause here. So we are out of the actual interview. everyone is supposed to stick in an interview, because see, the professors will be, they will be traveling and they'll be moving from one city to another city taking interviews and all. So it is of paramount importance that you have to stick to the bullet points. When you write an SOP or when you write an answer, then it is written in a different format because it's a written format. But when you're going to be there in the interview and you're going to be in the verbal format, you have to stick to bullet points, exact points. That's the reason I said that when you are asked a question, you think about it, you come up with your 3 to 4 bullet points. Same applies to WAT also. In a WAT, when you guys are given a topic, you don't have to straight away lift the pen and start writing. You make what all points are there, make a framework, and then you start writing, so that it shouldn't happen that later you are thinking that what should be the beginning. Okay, now how can I go to the beginning, because the beginning is already consumed. Now coming back to the interview, so again coming back to the question, what's the third point? Why would you go for?
So the third point being that a PhD requires me to focus on a single topic for 5 years, while an MBA allows me to explore into various fields, whether it be marketing, whether it be sales, whether it be finance, whether it be economics. So I
Hold
would
on, my
like to
question to you, Abhas, hold on. My question to you is, you talked about sales, you talked about, first you said marketing, then you said sales. Is our sales and marketing two different functions of management, or is sales a part of the marketing function? That is my first question. Then you said finance and economics. Is economics even a function of management, or is it a part of some other function of management?
So as much as I know, I think that sales and marketing are different, different from each other, and like they might have some intersection among them, but they are different and have different things. So sales is basically trying to convince people to buy your product right now, while marketing is trying to give the knowledge of the product to a lot of people at once, in hope that they'll try to contact you and buy their product. So sales, I
I will
consider
give you an instance here. You are basically in the marketing team of a company, and you do an exhibition for your product, and during that exhibition a lot of the products are sold. Is it sales or marketing now?
it's marketing.
It's marketing.
Yes.
But here also the end consumer came and bought the product at the exhibition.
Right. So obviously our goal is always that consumers
Not
have.
our goal. I am just asking you a question, that is this the people buying products at the exhibition, you will call it, you will attribute that success to the marketing event which took place, or to sales?
So
Because there may be some people also in the exhibition from your company who will be standing beside the stall, and
yeah, so there would be a set of salespeople at the marketing event who will be doing their job, but we'll have to like look at the reason due to which the consumer has decided to buy the product. Is it because he liked what was shown, or is it because he liked what was being told to him? Like,
what
were
about
the
economics?
salespeople
I
good
got your
enough
point.
to?
What about economics? Economics, is it a function of management?
No, economics is not a function of management. So economics is, uh, so how do we define economics? Economics is essentially defined as as trying trying to optimally allocate resources to various tasks that we might have. The resources that we have are limited in nature. So the economics is the study of this sort of allocation. So
What is, if selected to IIM Ahmedabad, what is your expected pay packet? What kind of salary are you expecting?
uh, so like I don't have a clear ballpark number in my mind, but uh, I like or give a certain, like it would depend on the role that I'm being offered with the package as well. So if it's a consulting role, since we all know that consulting companies are essentially uh, like their packages are lesser as compared to others, right? So 20-25 CTC would go really great with a consulting company, but if it's a finance company, I'd have expectations of a higher pay package.
What are you more interested in, consulting or finance?
At present, finance, but I am still trying to explore and understand a bit more about the consulting industry.
If suppose you have to blame one company more than the others for the 2008 economic slowdown, which company will that be? Your options are Lehman Brothers, Freddie Mac, and Fannie Mae.
So I have actually only heard about Lehman Brothers, and I am not aware of the role that Freddie Mac and Freddie Mae might have played at that point.
So basically, you're not aware of this.
Yes.
Okay, so we are again going back to the mockumentary session where I am drawing parallels for others also in the interview about the question asked to Abhas regarding what would he prefer, the MIT option where he can do masters, basically doing MS in US, maybe London School of Economics or something like that, or he would like to do his MBA at IIM Ahmedabad. So his start was very poor because he is never ever. So this interview process is basically a very subtle sales pitch in a very formal atmosphere, in very formal attire, in a very formal tone, and sticking to the bullet points. Now here, you don't have to give any weakness of yours. So you have to avoid in any way possible to avoid using words like shortcut or shorter term or confused. Kudos to those people. So they'll be selected, you won't be selected. Never ever say anything negative about, like, anything. That is the first thing. The good part was that even though he was totally going down the drain at the speed of maybe, I don't know, light, but certainly in his third point, he was able to talk some sense that there I'll be doing PhD, I'll be learning one thing at depth. But then here in MBA, I'll be exposed to a spectrum of areas. But here again, what was lacking was that his research on the course curriculum is very, very poor. Everyone has to research on the course curriculum. So there are basically 6 functions of management: finance, marketing, operations, systems, that is IT also, HR, and some IIMs. All good institutes have strategic management as also one of the specializations. There are actually 6 majors. In marketing, you have sales. So in marketing, so marketing management is the function. Sales management, channel management, consumer behavior, brand management, product policy, all kind of subjects, they are under marketing management. So you have financial management, you have all the subjects, especially those students who are interested in finance, they have to see which subjects are there. So in the boot camp also, I had requested Devansh sir, who is finance expert from IIM Calcutta, has written 2 books. I thought he has written 1 book. He's written 2 books. So he was also discussing your interest in finance. You have to research on the course curriculum. But his point was valid. Then, because he said consulting, and then then one thing he tackled not very, very well, but not in a very bad way also. It was okay, was when he was asked about is he interested in the pay package. If you try to show too much interest in the pay package, you're automatically disqualified, because you are being prepared for the world, the real world. So you can't say some things. It's as simple as that. So here he was talking more about the role, but again, he was going more into what package. So you can even, Abhas, avoid that discussion and say, okay, sir, consulting roles interest me. I'm more interested in the roles and finance. Here, because he said finance, whatever you will say, they are going to ask you questions on that. He said finance. I talked about 2008 economic slowdown, the subprime crisis, and how these, mortgage things and all. So people who are interested in finance, they have to read some major events which have happened in the financial history. Say over the past 100 years, there will be 6, 7, 5, 6 major events that happened, like recession or something like that, or like 1939 recession or whatever. So it shows that, okay, the person is genuinely interested in the field because he knows the biggest events in that field. These are some of the observations. Now coming back to the interview and out of the mockumentary session. Abhas, what are your hobbies and interests?
Sir, I like to read a lot of fiction. I like the books.
A lot of, can you come again? You said you like to read a lot of
fiction.
Fiction.
Yes. So basically, the kind of books that I like to read are more or less fantasy books where the authors try to create a different world of their own. Sometimes that world may be correlated to the world that we live in, but more or less the functions, the society, the people in that world are totally different and have different powers and everything. So these are the
If you
kinds of.
have to, in today's world, give roles of real world Voldemort, who will that person be and why? A living person in today's time, if you have to give the mantle of Lord Voldemort to someone, who will that person be and why?
Let me think about it.
You can have water also. I see you are coughing, you can have water as well.
No, it's okay. So, in the real world, so Voldemort was essentially a person who wanted to become immortal, and being immortal at that point, he so just immortality was not sufficient for him. He wanted to be at the top of the world at that moment as well and be immortal as well. So, one person that I think would that fits this characteristic is Kim Jong Un, because he has been in power in North Korea since just after his father died, and he is like trying to oppress others, his citizens, the people that he rules under, and the people that he rules for. And reading about his recent struggles with health and his.
If suppose
Him,
you were given the position of the President of the United States of America, what would you do to ensure that this crisis of the North Korean dictatorship is solved?
Yeah, so essentially it would have to start by uh, initiating some talks with Kim Jong-un, as Donald Trump had did during his tenure. He did meet Kim Jong-un several times and he tried to understand his thinking. Based on that, we would try to try and get some understanding about how Kim Jong-un is as a person, and what are the operational, like the oppressive things that he's doing there. And then based on that, we'll have to create some strategy, whether it would be to just invade North Korea or to send some spies as some people to North Korea, or some sort of action that would have to be decided based on the oppressive things that he has done and the personality that Kim Jong-un has. So the initial
I
steps
got it.
would be to
If
do this.
suppose
And
you are selected into the placement committee at IIM-Ahmedabad, a common complaint that we get from students is that placement coordinators, they are selfish and ambitious and almost like a high Machiavellian, high Mac character. And they first take care of their placements, then their friends' placements, boyfriend, girlfriend's placement. They are basically biased when it comes to placement. So if you are chosen as a member of the placement committee, how would you ensure that this complaint doesn't come regarding you?
So if I so are we talking about the internships or the placements here?
No, if you are a member of the placement committee, how will you ensure that students of your batch don't make the same accusations regarding you and your placement friends and your placement group committee?
So at any point, people who do not have a job or people who are still trying to get one would try and uh, so there are two ways people can go from here, right? Some people start going into a shell and start working and trying to get as many opportunities as they can. They try to improve themselves. They try to get to clear that one interview that they want to very much.
No, what would you
Apart,
do as a placecom member is my question.
so I won't essentially do anything other than what I would have done normally, because like I would just let them say what they want, because at the end of the day,
Okay,
I
again,
know.
we'll stop the interview and we will go on the mockumentary. This is a total disaster. if you are given a situation, you are a manager, you always have to believe in being an excelsior. Like you have to keep on seeing what is more and more and more and more that we can do. So if he comes to know this kind of a case study can come in XLRI, if he knows that maybe the students are unhappy and they have a feeling that maybe the placement committee members are basically being biased or partial towards their friends or themselves and all, and there needs to be more open communication channels. They need to basically take an extra step to not only ensure transparency in the placement process, but also show transparency, communicate that transparency to basically their batchmates. Also, they need to see that which are the kind of batchmates who are not interview ready, because maybe they have points with them but their communication skills or their soft skills or the presentation is not fine tuned, and if there is a need for an extra help which can ensure that those students who have less likability of getting placed will also be placed. I thought about all these things on the spot. You have to keep your brain running, and you cannot be opinionated in an interview. Like log to bolenge hi, unka kaam hai bolna. A manager doesn't talk or give his opinions. They're just into what solutions, what more solutions, how to do more, how to do things more. Plus, this guy Abhas Goyal, I know him. I have read about his achievements and positions of responsibility. He was also a member of he was in the placement committee there at IIT Kanpur as well. And he was the head of economic society at IIT Kanpur. And he has done so many projects where, he is talking about predicting stock movements using Google Trends and other things like that. And apart from that, there is a good, number of work experiences also that he's having in terms of 3 companies he has mentioned, and then he's having a lot of scholastic achievements and all. Now you would have understood here, interview, you have so many things that you want to highlight, like your CV is having points, but in interview you need to be very smart to place your strengths, your skills, your achievements. 3 things: strengths, skills, achievements, across the table to the interviewer. For example, like when he was talking about his interest in consulting and in finance, he has to add, like in finance, for example, sir, I did this course, or in my college also, I did this research. You have to come up with the points. Why? Because even though you will be going with this thick set of documents, which will be having your achievements and everything and all, there is a very, very high chance that they will be able to skim and scan only 10% of it. Are you getting it, Abhas? Maybe they will only see 10% of your things, and there are good number of things to talk about here. So in the interview, you have to understand how to place it. It's the placement of useful information regarding your candidature, which can fetch you points, is the most important thing in the interview. For example, when he talked about consulting, his interest in consulting, then he could have said, why am I interested in consulting? When he would have discussed about why am I interested in consulting, that's where he would have talked about his skills, which applies to consulting, his strengths, as well as he's having so many achievements with respect to consulting. Similarly, when he would have talked about finance, then he should have said, why finance? Because, sir, I have done this project, and these kind of research on finance, and, predicting stock movements, what I found interesting, and these kind of things he could have talked about. Plus, because when I talked about the placement committee thing, it didn't strike him for once that he was a part of placement committee. He could have shared his experiences, because like nothing beats that. Like आप एक क्वेश्चन पूछ रहे हैं बच्चे से प्लेसमेंट कमिटी रिगार्डिंग, वो बच्चा बोलेगा कि सर मैं भी प्लेसमेंट कमिटी में था और ऐसा ऐसा, मतलब तो थोड़ा सा ज्यादा रिलेटिबिलिटी होता है। तुरंत ये नहीं बोलते हैं कि सर वो लोगों का काम है बोलना, वो तो बोलेंगे ही अगर उनका नहीं हो रहा है तो। यू हैव टू एंश्योर, sometimes it is not important to be right, sometimes it is important to do more, show more, do more, show more. That basically takes care of a lot of things. So a lot of improvement is there. What is right is that sometimes Abhas is coming bang on target, whether it be talking about diversity is the reason why I would like to diversity of subjects, diversity of experience. So it is not only the diversity of academic subjects you'll be studying, in terms of the practical exposure, whether it be through events or conferences or through internships or through field projects, like the exposure will be really across the table. And that same thing will also be observed in the peer group. Like you'll be interacting with people coming from like diverse background, a diverse academic background, diverse social background, diverse regional background and all. So that point was bang on target. Also, when I asked about Voldemort, who he thinks should be the Voldemort, he was able to come up with a very good example. But then again, he basically was harping on the same point. So, okay, so in WAT or GD or interview, the most important thing is how many points you are giving. For example, he was only discussing on one point that, okay, if I was POTUS, I was the president of the United States of America, then through talking to Kim Jong-un and trying to understand his psychology, that what is he thinking, why is he thinking, how can we basically, spin the situation, in our favor. That was one point. More points need to come because the competition is going to be really thick. If Abbas has got good calls, I think you have got good calls, right, Abbas?
Yeah.
You have ABC calls,
Not B, AC.
A and C calls. So you need to be really like hyper competitive. You just need to, like, whatever question is asked, opportunity to rise and shine. So that's the reason, one suggestion to Abhas and to many students like Abhas who basically have good CV, a lot of points to talk about, you pick up your 5-6 best points. Let them be your 5-6 bullet points. When your interview is about to start, no matter how nervous you are feeling, you please look at those 6-7 points that if you get an opportunity during the interview, you are able to place them. That's very, very important. By hook or crook, they might ask you an SOP question. For example, my first question only to Abhas was actually an SOP question: why MBA and why should we select you? To an extent, he started going into why MBA, but on a negative start. But he didn't finally go to why to select you as well. Both the questions are basically attached. आप क्यों MBA करना चाहते हैं, IIM अहमदाबाद से क्यों प्रेफर कर रहे हैं? ठीक है, आप प्रेफर करें इन रीजंस के कारण, बट आपको हम ले क्यों? वो भी उस प्रोफेसर को जानना बहुत जरूरी है. प्रोफेसर्स विल बी लेस टॉकेटिव. they'll be expecting that okay, ये भी एक important art है कि मैनेजमेंट में कि कैसे चीजों को आप प्रेजेंट करते हो, कैसे आप important points को मतलब जो आपके सबसे solid points है उनको आप रखते हो. So they'll be trying to ascertain this also during the interview process. So the onus is upon you to come up with points, to be more talkative, to talk more about what you want to talk about. But anyways, this was a good start, Abhas. I'll be taking your interview again and I'll be talking to you separately about how more we can, improve the answers and
Sure.
give a better interview. But good job.
Sure.
Good job. Take care,
Thank you.
Abhas. Thank you. Now we have our next student here. The next student is Utsav. We will take just a minute's break. If anyone wants to post any question here in the meantime, they can post a question. Any question is there, you can post the question. Yes, you can use humor, Sonakshi, but it needs to be good humor. Like it shouldn't be you shouldn't fall flat on your face with bad humor. It's good humor. How to tackle the salary question? By saying that the salary is not the most important parameter here. More important parameter is the profile, the scope of work, in the sense what kind of work, and the scope in terms of geography, in terms of the profile, in terms of the exposure, in terms of the types of work. So the focus more is basically on the type of work and less on the salary attached to work. Because anyways, if the work is very good, very rewarding, the money also attached to it will be very rewarding. It's but obvious. What about strengths and weaknesses? Strengths, please let them be genuine strengths. And if you're able to draw a parallel between your strengths and management skills, business leadership skills, then it's very, very good. Weakness, don't tell them some weakness which is too contradictory to a management or a leadership position. Sir, if we have no idea about given situation, then what to do? First, think about it for some time. If not, then accept failure. Like, sir, I'm sorry, I'm not able to break through this question. No, it's not compulsory to predetermine a specialization. It's not. In fact, don't forcibly come up with a specialization. That's not right at all. You haven't studied about something. How the hell do you know about it? For example, many students are there, they want to do finance, and in their first semester when they are reading finance ka kitab, they are not liking it at all in the first second semester. So in the second year they don't select those subjects. related to finance. So you have to like know something to decide upon something. Some people have either academic correlation or work experience correlation or a hobby correlation or some subject or certifications or some correlation to a specialization. So they might be able to pull upon the specialization card. Also, it should be pulled that strongly, because you will not be only studying that subject in your second year. Also, you will be selecting 2 to 3 majors, so it will be just one out of the 2 to 3 majors. Ayush is asking why IIM-A versus PhD. Of course, your why IIM-A is very simple. Why MPA and why to select you? Why IIM Ahmedabad? Why IIM Ahmedabad also has a hidden question. What you'll be doing there at IIM Ahmedabad? You'll be doing the management programs. They're asking you why MBA and not a PhD. Why will you? So suppose someone has done BTech. He doesn't want to do MTech. He wants to do an MBA. So he has his reasons for the MBA. Doing the MBA. Some people will have academic connect. Some people will have skill set connect. Some will have work experience connect. Some will be coming maybe from a business family, so they have been looking at and seeing business, and maybe from a BBA background, so I studied also. Like different people will have different reasons as to why MBA. Everyone's SOP will be different, because that their SOP will be talking about their academic connect, skill set connect, and their strengths, their achievements, the skills that they possess, which can help them tomorrow as well. So don't copy anyone's SOP. Write about your candidature. Kshitij is saying if our CV does not show an inclination towards a specific field of study in MBA, how do we justify it? Nobody is going to ask you to justify it. Why will you? If suppose you have never studied finance, why you have to justify that? Like you have not studied finance. It is, you don't have to justify something which you have not done. You have to justify what you have done. In fact, the entire interview, maximum points is allotted to what you have done. Do you have knowledge about that or not? So whatever you have done, try to be good at it. Try to know more about it. If we have a gap year, so first, Anu, the reason why a person has a gap year, it differs from one person to another person. It depends on your reason. If the reason is genuine, you can of course discuss it. You can tell them honestly. Fake thing is coming up with some bogus example reasons and all. If you think that your reason is genuine, you can discuss it. If you don't have a good academic background, you don't have to defend it. If they ask you that आपका 12th में मार्क्स बहुत खराब है, तो मतलब आपको नहीं बताना है सर मेरा तबीयत खराब था या फिर कुछ ऐसा था, पढ़ाई नहीं की थी, तो बोलना है कि सर हाँ उस समय I was not studying a lot. However, now I want to study. मतलब what is that? You can't defend something in which you have not scored. So yes, it is good to have some amount of knowledge about finance, sales. Sales is a part of marketing again. Finance, marketing, operations, systems, HR. As I told you, Harvard Business Review, it is having handbook on marketing, handbook on finance. These are very small handbooks and all. It gives you a basic idea. If you are confused, you don't want to buy that, then you can go to Wikipedia and you can read on these things. So the good part is in Wikipedia also, if you write marketing management, they'll explain what is marketing management and they'll put down which are the further topics or subjects. Now, the other way is go to the business school's website and look at the subjects which are there inside those areas. So that will also, so use a combination of both. Okay, fine. So we'll get back to the interview now. Utsav is here with us. Utsav, is my voice clear?
Yes, sir. Am I audible properly?
Yes, but be a little loud. I don't know why. Maybe I'm growing old, so my ears are not that effective, but like I want you guys to be a little loud, you know.
Sure.
Okay. Hello, Utsav. How are you?
Hello. Good evening. I'm fine. How are you?
So, Utsav, what's the top news for today? I want you to tell me 5 top news for today.
I didn't glance through because I generally do it in evening after my work. So
You do it
didn't
in the
went.
evening. So
So
when the
that,
day is over, then our friend Utkarsh is looking at what has happened. Maybe when people are getting up for the next morning's news, which will be covering. So basically, if you are going to be reading news tonight, some of the news will be too old, but it's okay. That's our friend Utkarsh. Can you tell us, Utsav, what about yesterday's news? Top 5 news of yesterday?
so basically, I was watching that like GA video. So I was listening to this aeroplane ban news in US, which
What
is sort of,
video?
so basically a GA video, which was discussed yesterday. So in that, I was listening to this news in US in which the aeroplanes are banned, which is probably being told as a cyber attack. So I was looking through
This
that.
news is old. This news doesn't belong to yesterday.
So I watched that video yesterday. So that's what
So
I am
you are
telling.
basically even sometimes watching news which is 4 or 5 days old. That is
Yeah,
not
so
right.
like,
So, okay, Usam, I want to understand
yeah.
what is the reason that a lot of edtech companies, they were not able to maintain the growth, the ambition, and the pull from the industry after the pandemic was, after the curfew was lifted and after things normalized. What was the reason that they were not able to? Because you have written that you are also an educational mentor at an academy. You have been
Yeah,
in
yeah, I was
21
part
for
of it.
6 months.
Yeah. So the reason I think this happened is because even still, most of the parents and students feel comfortable in a classroom situation where they can interact physically, they can ask doubts. So they feel more connected in that sense. And the second point I felt while working over there, that even the doubts were solved, but like sometimes they solve the doubts through the bots which they maintain, right? So like customer answers they pasted. So the personalized doubt clearing was not there, and this was a problem with many of the students which I mentored personally. So yeah, I
How
think
were
these are
bots
the,
answering? Is this something
yeah.
like Chat GPT or something like that? How were the
Uh,
bots answering to the questions of students?
So basically, the questions which students ask are mostly from some of the other books. So let's say they are reading H.C. Verma and they are stuck in a question. So they pose that question, and what Unacademy was doing is that they had solution ready and they scanned through their library and pasted the solution there. If the question was different and could not be found in their repository, then the request was sent to some mentor, right?
What if the
So
question was same, but the number, the figures, and things were a little changed? Will we
yeah,
be
so
able to?
no, no. So in that case, again, the that would have to be solved by an educator, mentor, and he would get back like in one to
It
two
has to be an
days to
exact question from a
exactly.
popular book which is already there in the
Yes.
database, and the answer has also been typed. So okay,
Right,
so
right,
of
right.
course you are saying these were, so one reason you were saying there was a problem on the servicing part. This is a problem on the servicing part. This is something
Right.
which is not good if you want to give service excellence to your customers. And the second, you were saying that parents who are not comfortable once the corona wave was over or it got deflated, then they wanted their kids to be going back
Uh,
to the.
yeah,
But now these companies have
yeah,
raised so much money.
yeah.
Why can't they go aggressive on the offline front and
Mhm.
capture the TG?
So basically, what is happening is, let's say we have this physics wala, which is getting popular nowadays. So the problem with these is that though they have the investment, as you rightly mentioned, but the teacher they are when they are teaching on YouTube, there are few of the set of teachers which are teaching, like the founder himself and 2 to 3 other subject experts. But when it comes to like brick and mortar coachings like Akash or Fitjeep, right? So in that case, they have spread across all over India, and when they are trying to reach throughout the country, they do not have the teachers everywhere. So what they are doing is like
You are
they are,
saying there is a problem of availability of good quality teachers, paucity of teachers, basically.
so that connect basically in each of the centers which they
You are
would be
saying the
opening.
regional connect is not there, the
Yes, yes,
local connect is lacking.
yes. So for that, they are acquiring the big institutes for the time
But
being.
they can use a hub and spoke model. Are you aware of what is a hub and spoke model?
No, sir, I'm not aware of that.
You have a hub and then you have spokes. I
Hmm.
have seen this works perfectly for those students. For example, you are an engineer, so you'll know about it. This hub and spoke model is used a lot in coaching for GATE, The teachers will be
Okay.
traveling from Delhi and all, some metropolitan city which is close to the tier 2, tier 3 town. And they'll be flying, they'll be coming, they'll be taking classes, and they'll be going back. So don't you think this problem can be solved by using a hub and spoke model?
So, but if we see there, the institutes which are already present from a long time, they already have better established facility. If we talk in that terms,
So you
they
are
have,
saying it is because of the existing brand name, which is well established for a good number of years of. So that's the reason.
yeah, that factor of trust for the parents. I see that.
But with the money
While
that these companies have, is it not possible for them to poach the faculty members at a higher price?
yeah, that is possible, and even that is happening across Delhi. If I see, I have heard of this, but I don't see it exactly coming in near time, because then they will have to plan some
Where
strategy
do you, okay,
properly.
let's change the topic of discussion, Utsav. I
Mhm.
want to know, where do you see yourself 25 years down the line?
Okay. So I have not seen exactly 25 years, but I will try to brief based on what I am doing right now. So based on that, since I am working with a financial client, and I have extend finance and related stuff, so I see myself initially going for some larger company, and consequently at a later stage, let's say 25 years down the line, I see myself working for a big organization at some decision making roles. So probably now, as far as I know now, I am more inclined toward finance, but I would like to explore. So I
If you
cannot
were
comment
more
on that
interested
part.
in finance, why didn't you do BSc finance? Why have you done chemical engineering?
So at that time, before entering into college, I didn't have much idea, to be honest. So I just gave JE and entered into the college. In my college, I started exploring this, and there I stumbled across, let's say, finance discussion group, and there I gradually,
Can you
tried.
tell us three popular roles which are offered to students at IT Kanpur for chemical engineering students?
Yeah, so basically, the first role is this. Let's say the companies like Dr. Reddy's, they take you to a trainee role, basically where you have to, deal with the lab
So you
workers
weren't
and look.
interested in being a trainee at Dr. Reddy's.
No, sir. To be frank, I was not.
What was the package?
So the package was 8.5. Sorry, 9 lakhs per annum.
9 lakhs at Dr. Reddy's for a trainee role.
Yes,
And
technical
which
training.
company did you join?
So I have joined EXL.
EXL. And what was your package?
So back then it was like the basic was 8.5, but overall it was 11.1.
So do you think that a lot of students basically in our country, especially from top-notch institutes where the government is also spending hundreds and thousands of crore, they are not basically joining something related to their field of study because the offer is not lucrative? If the offer was in terms of money more lucrative, maybe we could have had better brains, or the we could have prevented brain drain to an extent.
So on this, I would like to say that yes, I have seen many of my friends also, and that is one of the factor which is looked upon joining a company. But the main problem which I understood after talking with my friends who have been working, who have been recently switched, some of them have recently switched from there, let's say. So they told that the job they are doing is like very monotonous, like the same set of thing, and the people which they have to deal, the technologies in additionally are not up to date in India in terms of let's say that R&D facilities. So even though, let's say, Dr.
You're
Reddy's,
talking about your friends, batchmates who basically continued in the field of chemical engineering,
no, who have switched.
switched to
So
other industries, probably IT, ITS sector.
or maybe some startup business and
So
all.
they are not enjoying the stint.
So at that time they were not enjoying, so they shared their experiences. Yeah, so based on that I am telling. And personally I also would like to add one
So
more point.
basically, you are validating, you are saying it would have been better for them if they would have continued in a job which was more relevant, pertinent to chemical engineering, what they have studied.
So if the right connections were made, then I think there would have been incremental number of students going there. That's what I'm saying.
What would you, if suppose you are the HRD Minister of India,
Mhm.
what is the one step that you will take to basically promote retention of people in their own field rather than switching to some other field? What is that one big step that you like to take?
So basically, in chemical engineering, we're talking about, right?
No, any basic, it's
Any field.
applicable to all.
So there is no single factor, I would say. So I would like to say 2 to 3 factors.
One
So
step, not factor, one step you
okay,
will take, one action you will take to basically
uh,
prevent this brain drain from one field to another field just because of more money being offered by other fields.
so one thing which can be done is uh, like building more connect between the organization and the people. So if the work is more engaging, then people would be able to enjoy. Otherwise, like there is less motivation keeps on diminishing after the after a certain duration. So if let's say
You are
what
saying
can be,
better work connect, but you are an HRD
yeah.
minister. What can you do with respect to work connect? Like that is so happening inside an organization. It's a very micro thing. You can't control it. I'm saying at a pan India level, what is that one step you would like to take to prevent the brain drain from one field to another because of these lucrative offers, especially coming from technology companies, IT companies, ITES companies, EdTech companies?
So I would take steps to
One step. I just want to know one
okay,
step. You are just beating around the bush for a very long time. One step you will take.
push for developments in that field.
Push for development in that field. What sort of development? It's a very arbitrary thing you're talking about. Now you can't
So
just,
let's
you're talking like a politician. I want you to be an HRD minister, but I want you to use the hat of a techno manager here. What is that one objective step that you would? It's very easy to say, I will. What one step? One thing which you could have built on is you talked about work connect. So maybe if suppose we talk about chemical engineering, then there can be more presentations, symposium, seminars in your college where the top companies which recruit for or which we need people belonging to chemical engineering, they can come and talk about the exciting work, exciting development, which can further convince the student to, be in their field. That is the kind of answer I was expecting. Anyways,
okay.
it's okay. My next question to you is, can you give me 3 clear reasons why to select you? Because we have been taking interviews since morning and we can't take every one. Uh, and I think because we have anyways too many BTech students applying to us, so it is slightly tougher in your group. So can you give me 3 clear reasons why we should select you and maybe not the other students who we have interviewed, BTech students who we have interviewed?
Okay. So firstly, I would say that since I have been I have graduated from IIT Kanpur. There I have worked across various clubs and organized fests. So there I picked up certain skills, teamwork skills, and all. So I think that would be helpful for my
Teamwork
MBA.
skills can be even picked up if someone is trying to do matki fodo wala, thing during Govinda, during, Janmashtami.
But I mean on a large scale. I was
Large.
still. So let's
Fest
say
is a large
if
thing. Most of the students are thinking this. Fest we have done, it's a large thing. Fine. So you are saying that the first reason is because you have been exposed to clubs and committees at your college.
and
But were you
even
in leadership position there, or you were in, what was your position in these committees?
so in one of them I was the head.
Which
That is
committee?
the so in Tekriti I was head design.
Tekriti.
Yeah. So
Why so
technical
much of
fest.
animosity is there, in some of these colleges? I have heard about your college also. 2 committees will be there and they will be, doing mudslinging and abusing openly. And, why so much of negative competition is there when it comes to, some fests which happens on campus, and suppose there are two types of committees, three types of committees, they have to do sponsorship and fundraising and all. Why can't they do it in a civil way, or why can't there be positive competition? I want to know something from you, because I've been hearing about this for quite some time.
Okay. So one reason which I can think of is that since the budget which is allotted by the institute are specific, like so the basically the members of the that fest, let's say Antaragni and Tekriti. So like there is a rivalry which happens, which is
So
seen
is this, that's what I
rampantly.
want to know, is this rivalry a good thing or a bad thing? And if good thing,
So
why? Bad thing, why? And I want you to be louder. I want you to be louder.
so so basically, to a certain extent, it creates competition, right? But when it crosses a certain threshold, then it leads to necessary competition. So, but at that time when I was working, I thought that it was like on negative side, more on a
Can
negative
you give
side.
us one instance where you also thought somewhere, that you were a little negative in the competition, later you realized it?
So
Any instance?
basically, yeah, one instance which I recall is that, so like since I was a head of design, so we had to release posters and everything. So sometimes, so one time, that time it happened that Udghosh, which is one another sports fest which was happening, so like it happens later than us. So once we have released that, there something on similar lines was being prepared, which we got to know. So then like we
Copying,
talked to
you're
them.
talking about plagiarism.
So yeah, slight plagiarism, because uh, so at that time I felt that it was that. But if I thought, and if we thought properly, so what happened is that we also used to share some comments over the internet as well, right? So that element could be used by other team. So thinking like after later, after the fest was over and all, so when I thought that way, then it was fine, but at that time it seemed like plagiarism to me. So in that instance, I think I was
Did you get
slightly
angry?
wrong.
Did you get
Sir,
angry?
no, sir, I didn't get angry because that is one of my strengths. Like I remain calm in situations. So I
You
didn't get
didn't say
angry, but
anything to them. You didn't post any vulgar
no,
comment, abusive language, nothing.
no, sir.
So basically, you are a very cool and composed person. That's what you are saying. You don't get angry
So
because it's a
that's what
big
I think.
fest and you are the head of the fest, and someone is trying to screw your, happiness by coming up with the same kind of a pamphlet, poster for promotion, a guerrilla campaign, probably.
Yeah, so I can focus on working my part better.
Is this for
So
the interview's sake that you're telling me? I'm asking you honestly. Don't, if you get
no, sir.
angry, it doesn't mean that we will reject you.
No, sir. I actually, actually, I don't get angry like
You
most of
don't
the
get
times.
angry. Wow. That's something which is very, very
I mean,
rare.
I do not speak something. If you are talking, I do not express my anger. I have my ways to tackle it. Like I
What?
shy away
I want
from.
to understand what is your way to tackle anger.
So I do not generally talk to that person if a person is the cause for an anger.
Okay, so
That's
you
how I
won't
do.
talk to
So
that
I
person. You will keep the grudge within.
yeah, I will share with my friends and
But
have
then
my
people say it's
something to
bad to
eat.
keep grudges and it leads to maybe terminal illness also due to stress. It's better to release. What all I'm interested, because see, if tomorrow you have to be a top level CEO or a business magnate or some inspiring entrepreneur, you have to know how to do stress management. So I want to understand from you, what is your strategy? What are your ways for stress management?
So as I mentioned, firstly, I at that point when the incident happens,
No, no,
I do
normally
not.
I'm asking, how do you release stress? What is your way to do stress management? How do you do stress management in your life?
So I order something to eat, or I get out and have a walk and something like that. I follow my
So basically you
hobbies,
eat and walk.
and like I mean I basically follow my hobbies. That's it.
You?
I follow my hobbies and talk with
What
my
are your
close
hobbies?
friends. So basically, let's say I am interested in this investment and trading and all.
Can you
So
be louder? You're interested in?
trading and investment sort of stuff.
All
So,
you guys are interested in trading and investment. I hope you people are not even convincing your family and friends to invest money. Those poor people, they would be risk averse, and you guys are getting
no,
too
sir.
risky at a
No,
very young
sir.
age.
Like
Have you
I have
seen the
my
movie Wolf of
portfolio.
Wall Street?
Yes, sir.
Have you seen the movie The Wolf of Wall Street?
Yes, yes, I have seen that.
So there is a scene in which Matthew McConaughey is telling, Leonardo DiCaprio that the stock, whether it goes like this or this, nobody has an idea. It's a fugazi, it's a fugazi. So do you
So,
think you know the science? Is
so
there a
basically,
science?
so
If
basically,
suppose you
there is
have
some.
to, if you have to place the study of stock markets under either science or arts, what would that be and why?
Okay. So yeah, let me think for a moment. So as far as I see, I will put it under science basically, because there is something called technical analysis, in which basically we read candlestick patterns and try to predict the stock movement based on certain patterns, resistance, supports, and all. So thinking that way, most of the time, let's say 10 out of 6 times it's correct. And
6 out of 10 times it is correct, you are saying.
sorry, 6 out of 10 times it's correct. But yeah, there are cases, and if I have looked back at it, there are
Fine, I get your
certain.
point. My last question to you is why we shouldn't give this seat to a student of commerce or management, that is a BCom or a BBA, and we should give it to someone like you who is coming from a technical background, this course management. Why should we give it to someone like you, and why we shouldn't give it to someone who is a BBA or a BCom student? Can you talk on this?
Sure. So, being from a technical background, I have worked across various tools, and I have the idea of that. Now, in current scenario, IT has a big role to play, and if
What
I,
IT has a big role to play.
yeah, because the whole world is connected over internet in a sense in today's scenario. So, if I am able to combine those skills with management skills, which I would be learning in my school, I think I would try and go ahead and create some uh, unique product using my both technical as well as managerial skills. So that's one of the thing which I think.
Fine, that will be all. Utsav, how much would you rate yourself on a scale of 10 for this interview?
So I would rate myself 8 out of 10. uh,
No, the interview
uh,
is over. You don't have to impress me. I'm asking you
no
honestly, how
sir,
much would
I
you
am
rate yourself?
honestly telling, because because I was like working before this. I was doing some stuff, and then I
No,
got
no, Utsav, you can't say these things. On that day, all it may happen that you have an upset stomach, you have lose motion, you don't have energy. But that is not it doesn't matter. That is a CAT exam, anything you'll be doing in your life, what you are facing, whether you have been working and suddenly you had to switch to interview, none of these things matter. What matters is your performance. And you guys have to understand, for example, which all calls do you have? ABC calls?
I have only B call.
You have an IIM Bangalore call. The competition will be tough. IIM Bangalore is looking for people, those people who have international exposure or who have an international way of thinking. They will be given slightly extra points because all IIMs have some focus area. For example, IIM Calcutta's focus area is finance, and IIM Bangalore's focus area, because we are talking about IIM Bangalore here, it is they are more into the IB, international business and international exposure part. So you have to give your best. And I again saw that there were quite a lot of things which you could have talked about, and you didn't again utilize your strength. So all you guys again have lots of strength. For example, when I talked about Unacademy, there was an opportunity for you to even discuss. So even though my question was that अनअकैडमी जैसी कंपनियां जो हैं और बहुत सारी कंपनियां हैं, जब कोविड आया था तो इतना उनका मतलब फंडिंग और ये सब, बिकॉज सभी को ऑनलाइन करना था, लेकिन अब कोचिंग इंडस्ट्री में ऑनलाइन पूरा बस्ट हो गया एक तरह से। तो हमारे भी पहले कितने बच्चे ऑनलाइन भी कोचिंग कर रहे थे, बट नाउ पीपल वांट मोर ऑफ ऑफलाइन. हार्डली 5% पीपल विल इवन आस्क फॉर ऑनलाइन, 95% विल वांट offline. So in that you would have even talked about your experience, because you were a teacher there, and a teacher does the communication part. He has to understand like how in market we have to understand the market, we have to understand the consumer. So here your end consumers were students. So कितना आप उनको समझ पाते थे और कितना उनको समझा पाते थे, और उससे क्या आपका अंडरस्टैंडिंग था ये ऑनलाइन ऑफलाइन. क्या ये ऑनलाइन ऑफलाइन, बिकॉज ऑफलाइन में हमेशा एक ज्योग्राफिकल बाउंड्री रहेगा, और अगर किसी को भी कोई बहुत अच्छा प्रोडक्ट है, बहुत अच्छा क्वालिटी है, तो ज्योग्राफिकल बाउंड्री ब्रेक करना है तो उसको ऑनलाइन का सपोर्ट लेना ही होगा. तो तुम्हें सोल्यूशन देना था कि इवन दो ऑनलाइन नीचे जा रहा है, तुम्हारा जो एक्सपीरियंस रहा है, तुम्हें क्या लगता है किससे ऑनलाइन का चार्म वापस आ सकता है, या फिर ऑनलाइन का जो इफेक्टिवनेस है, जो एफिकेसी है, वो बढ़ सकती है. जो मैनेजर होगा वो हमेशा सोल्यूशन सेट, हमेशा सोल्यूशन देना है आपको. इवन दो मेरा क्वेश्चन था क्यों बस्ट हुआ, तो क्यों बस्ट हुआ आप सही रीजंस दे रहे थे, बट कैसे इसको आप टैकल कर सकते हैं, कैसे इसको इंप्रूव कर सकते हैं, ये आपको देना बहुत जरूरी था. क्योंकि आप तो पहले टेक बैकग्राउंड से आ रहे हो, तो कैसे टेक्नोलॉजी को भी यूज कर सकते हैं ब्रेक करने के लिए. फॉर एग्जांपल क्या वर्ल्ड में लेटेस्ट टेक्नोलॉजी है जिसको हम यूज करके ऑनलाइन एजुकेशन को और पास बना सकते हैं बच्चों के. तो जैसे तुमने एक बहुत सिंपल सा सिर्फ बोल दिया कि आईटी का इंपॉर्टेंस है दुनिया में. आईटी का इंपॉर्टेंस तो यार 90s से चालू आ रहा है ना, डिजिटल रिवोल्यूशन से आईटी का इंपॉर्टेंस चालू आ रहा है. बट अब तो हम लोग बात कर रहे हैं उन चीजों की जैसे कि ऑगमेंटेड रियलिटी या एआई या मशीन लर्निंग या आईओटी, जिससे जो पूरा एक्सपीरियंस है, जो लर्निंग एक्सपीरियंस है, वो पूरी तरह से चेंज करे. तो उसके बारे में तुम्हें थोड़ा मतलब लाइट देना चाहिए था कि सर ऐसे ऐसे करने से हो रहा है, या कौन सी कंपनीज है. बिकॉज एडुकेशन में तो बहुत यूज हो रहा है ना, ये एडुकेशन में बहुत यूज हो रहा है टेक्नोलॉजी, जो नॉट ओनली बैरियर को ब्रेक कर रहा है बट इवन एक्सपीरियंस लेवल को बहुत उठा पा रहा है. तो उस पर्टिकुलर पार्ट में मुझे लगता है कि तुम नहीं बेसिकली उतना कर पाए. प्लस जब तुमने आईटी की बात की, क्योंकि तुम्हारा कुछ फाइनेंस का तुमने बात किया कि वर्क एक्सपीरियंस में फाइनेंस का थोड़ा एक्सपोजर है, तो उसमें भी तुम जब आईटी की बात की तो तुम्हारे पास मौका था कि कैसे फिनटेक तो चल ही रहा है, क्या लेटेस्ट चल रहा है, लेकिन टेक्नोलॉजी फाइनेंस में क्या लेटेस्ट चल रहा है. बिकॉज आप टेक्नोलॉजी बैकग्राउंड से आ रहे हो, फाइनेंस का वर्क एक्स भी कर रहे हो, तो फिनटेक इज समथिंग जिसके बारे में आप हम एक्सपेक्ट करते हैं आपको नॉलेज होगा, आप रिसर्च किए होंगे, आप पढ़े होंगे. बिकॉज बच्चों आपको समझना है, सिर्फ वहां पर ये नहीं कि एक पॉइंट दे दिया, दो पॉइंट दे दिया, आपका काम बन गया. यू हैव टू राइज एंड शाइन, बिकॉज इन टॉप इंस्टीट्यूट्स ब्लैकी, एक्सेल, एफएमएस, एसपीजेन, there will be a lot of competition, there will be a lot of good students, and some students will be able to create the wow factor. So both in उत्सव का इंटरव्यू एज वेल एज इसके पहले हम लोगों ने आभास का इंटरव्यू लिया था, वाव फैक्टर नहीं है कि ये आदमी खुश हो जाए पूरी तरह से. इनफैक्ट मुझे आज भी याद है, वाव फैक्टर हमेशा याद रहता है. वो बच्चे जो वाव फैक्टर दिए इंटरव्यू में, आई विल रिमेंबर देम even if some interviews happened 10 years ago in my life, because they're able to create the wow factor. So the wow factor was not there, even though he was able to come up with points. So he was not doing a bad job. But here the question is not that you don't have to do a bad job, you have to do a very very good job. So that part I think was lacking, the part where he is going to talk about what value, what has he learned, what value he has added. So these two things are very very important. So Utkarsh, if I have to rate you, I will give you a 6 on 10 right now, because wow factor होगा तभी वो 8-9 में जाएगा. 10 on 10 तो उसको ही आएगा. अगर किसी को 10 on 10 आएगा तो मतलब इंटरव्यूअर खड़ा हो जाएगा, जैसे वो रियलिटी शोज में देते ताली वाली बजाने लगेगा. अगर कोई 10 on 10 है मतलब बहुत ही अच्छा हो गया. तो 6 on 10 इज ठीक ठाक. 8 इज कि तुम वाव फैक्टर चालू कर रहे हो थोड़ा. 8-9 मतलब वाव, सिलेक्शन के चांसेस बहुत ही हैवी हो जाते हैं. बिकॉज 8 on 10 का मतलब क्या हुआ, अगर 50 पॉइंट्स ऑफ इंटरव्यू है तो ये 40 पॉइंट हो गया. 6 पॉइंट्स मिला तो ये क्या हो गया, 30 पॉइंट हो गया. तो 30 पॉइंट और 40 पॉइंट आउट ऑफ 50 में तो 10 पॉइंट का फर्क हो जाता है. तो तुम लोग को समझना है कि इंटरव्यू का जो एक एक मार्क है वो बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट है, बिकॉज वो जब बढ़ेगा तो एक मार्क नहीं रहेगा, वो बहुत मार्क्स बेसिकली हो जाता है. प्लस यू गाइज हैव टू थोड़े बहुत तो इसने अपना बता पाया कि ये कर रहा है, लेकिन मुझे ऐसा लगता है जैसे टॉप न्यूज वाला न्यूज तो पढ़ना है आपको, हर दिन
Yes,
न्यूज
sir.
पढ़ना है। अगर आपका सुबह भी इंटरव्यू है तो देख लो क्या है न्यूज, पूछ सकते हैं देखने के लिए। जनरल अवेयरनेस अभी तो देख रहा है ना कम से कम, कि इंटरव्यू की तैयारी कर रहा है, तो टॉप न्यूज तो देखना ही देखना है। प्लस यहाँ पर इसने एक गलती क्या कर दी, जैसे एक बच्चे ने पूछा भी था कि अगर मानिए मुझसे कुछ पूछा गया और मुझे नहीं पता क्या आंसर है तो क्या करें, तो कुछ और सोचो अगर उसमें अप्लाई कर सकते हो। फॉर एग्जाम्पल उत्सव से हम लोगों ने जब पूछा टॉप न्यूज, उसे नहीं पता था, फिर उसने एक न्यूज बोला कि कोई टेक्निकल इशू के कारण वहां पर जो फ्लाइट्स हैं यूएस में ग्राउंडेड हो रहे हैं, कितने कैंसिल हो गए। तो अगर फिर उसको वो बोला तो उसमें क्या टेक्निकल ग्लिच था, क्या था, मतलब थोड़ा और अगर इंफॉर्मेशन देगा, फिर टेक्निकल से टेक्नोलॉजी में पहुंच सकता है डिस्कशन। दिस इज व्हाट इज नोन एज
Okay.
लीडिंग द इंटरव्यू। कोशिश करो कि कोई भी चीज जो डिस्कस हो रही है उसको इन अ वेरी वेरी सटल वे तुम अपने कंफर्ट जोन्स के डिस्कशन में ले जाओ। दैट इज एक्सट्रीमली इंपॉर्टेंट, दैट इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। फिर मैंने इससे पूछा था कि बीबीए के जो स्टूडेंट हैं उसको ले, बीबीए बीकॉम के स्टूडेंट को ले, कि ये बीटेक के स्टूडेंट को ले, ये मैंने इससे पूछा था। तो इसमें ये अपने कैंडिडेचर के बारे में बताने लगा था कि ये वर्क एक्सपीरियंस है और ये है टेक्नोलॉजिकल बैकग्राउंड है, तो ये है वो है आईटी है, तो वो सही दिशा में जा रहा था। लेकिन उसको पूरा लेवरेज नहीं किया, कैपिटलाइज नहीं किया, मतलब उसको प्लेटफॉर्म बना रहा है, लेकिन प्लेटफॉर्म में क्या प्लेन चलाना है कि क्या चलाना है, मतलब प्लेटफॉर्म के बाद भी तो कुछ करना है, स्ट्रक्चर क्रिएट करना है उस पर। तो वो स्ट्रक्चर क्रिएट करने में उसको प्रॉब्लम हो गया था, बिकॉज बहुत कॉम्पिटिटिव क्राउड होगा, टॉप नॉच जो कॉलेजेस हैं। और अगर तुम लोग को लग रहा है, जैसे अभी मैंने आभास का भी लिया था तो उसका अच्छा परसेंटाइल है, 99.95 है, और मुझे लगता है उत्सव तुम्हारा क्या है, तुम्हारा भी अच्छा ही परसेंटाइल है ना, ठीक ठाक
0.62.
परसेंटाइल है।
0.62.
हाँ 99.62 बेसिकली ठीक ठाक परसेंटाइल है, लेकिन IIM बैंगलोर है तो चलेगा। मतलब अगर ये कलकत्ता अहमदाबाद तो तुम्हें पता ही है, उसके लिए थोड़ा लो हो जाता है जनरल का, जेम का। तो IIM बैंगलोर में अगर तुम अच्छा इंटरव्यू दोगे तो तुम्हारा हो जाएगा। प्लस IIM बैंगलोर के बारे में कुछ अगर तुम इंटरव्यू दे रहे हो तो IIM बैंगलोर पे रिसर्च करना है तुम्हें, उनके वेबसाइट पे रिसर्च करना है और कुछ कनेक्शन ढूंढना है। ये बीसफुल कनेक्शन ढूंढना बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट होता है। क्यों? क्योंकि बहुत बार वो लोग डायरेक्टली पूछ रहे हैं या इंटरव्यू फॉर्म में लिख रहे हैं व्हाई यू वांट टू जॉइन आवर इंस्टीट्यूट, मतलब दिस इंस्टीट्यूट, दे आर नॉट सेइंग ओनली एमबीए, ये इंस्टीट्यूट क्यों करना है आपको ज्वाइन। तो आप उनके वेबसाइट को पूरा इनसाइड आउट छानिए और देखिए आपका, आपको क्या अच्छा लग रहा है, क्या कनेक्शन बना पा रहे हैं आप अपने कैंडिडेचर से, ताकि डायरेक्टली या इनडायरेक्टली अगर आपको मौका मिले तो इंटरव्यू पे आप इसका इस्तेमाल करेंगे। But decent job, but you have to improve. So ऐसा नहीं, I'll be taking more interviews of Utsav or Abhas. So I would be expecting more improvement. Good, good. Thank you, Utsav. Thank you for
Thank you,
trying.
sir.
Thank you for trying. Now next is ready. 1 मिनट का आप तब तक पूछें, बच्चे पूछें क्या क्या सवाल है, पोस्ट करें यहाँ पर। आप सुमित को बोलो चार्ज लगाएगा, 1% बैटरी है इसमें। Can I answer this question? Why should I select you? As I have cleared your required percentile and I am a early learner and helpful person. नहीं आयुष, they will laugh and they'll think that क्या जोक कर रहा है, पीजे मार रहा है कि क्या मार रहा है। ऐसा नहीं, वहां पर सिलेक्शन पाना है तो आपको अपना एसओपी अच्छे से समझाना होगा, अपना स्ट्रेंथ बताना होगा अपना। अच्छा आप पूछो, इफ समवन इज आस्किंग यू why should I select you, first question is why have you come for this program, that means you're interested in that program. You have to talk about why this MBA program is the right thing at this juncture in your life. अभी आप लाइफ में कहाँ हैं, क्या किए हैं, क्या इंटरेस्ट्स हैं, क्या आप में थोड़े बहुत स्किल्स हैं, स्ट्रेंथ्स हैं जो मैनेजमेंट के लिए सही रहेंगे। तो इस तरह से आपको अपना आंसर, ये नहीं बोल सकते कि आप भाई एग्जाम क्लियर किए हैं, अर्ली लर्नर है, हेल्पफुल पर्सन है, ये सब बहुत। ट्राई अवॉइडिंग टू टॉक इन वेरी सब्जेक्टिव लैंग्वेज, मतलब कि सब्जेक्टिव लैंग्वेज समझते हो जो ऐसे में हम लोग यूज करते हैं, आर्ट्स एंड ह्यूमैनिटीज लैंग्वेज। थोड़ा मतलब आपको एग्जैक्ट और क्लियर कट बातें करनी होगी, क्लियर कट बातें बतानी होगी आपको, तभी इट मेक्स सेंस। फिर उत्कर्ष पूछ रहा है, सर द इंटरव्यूअर कुक्स अप समथिंग व्हिच डज नॉट एग्जिस्ट लाइक मड स्लिंगिंग, शुड वी डिनाई इट और शुड वी प्ले अलोंग। नहीं नहीं उत्कर्ष, वहां सच में तुम पता नहीं किस बात को लेके बोल रहे हो। आईआईटी कानपुर में जैसा उत्सव ने बोला, 2 ग्रुप्स हैं, टेकृति और अंतराग्नि की, और ये लोग आपस में बहुत झगड़ा वगड़ा भी करते हैं, सेमिनार वेमिनार में भी पता नहीं गालियां भी एक दूसरे को दे रहते हैं, और मतलब है हर जगह ही ऐसा होता है। टॉप 20 स्कूल्स और टॉप बीटेक इंस्टीट्यूट्स एक ही जैसे होते हैं, बहुत ज्यादा कंपटीशन होता है और मतलब नेगेटिव कंपटीशन होता है और सब मतलब टॉप में रहना चाहते हैं और क्योंकि they want so badly to be the alpha, to be at the top, because most of them are alpha. So at times there is a lot of friction, and it can be a good thing, a bad thing also, because they want to be at the top. So they all are trying to outdo each other. So the passion is also there, which is a good thing. The bad thing is at times right strategy to beat the competition use करने के बजाय cheap या कुछ below the belt strategy use करते हैं. But this is the reason I asked him this question. आकाश बोल रहा है कोई फाइनल टिप है सर, मेरा कल इंटरव्यू है. आकाश, सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट है काम माइंड होना चाहिए, क्योंकि दिमाग दौड़ाना है इंटरव्यू के बीच में. कुछ पूछ दिया, आप तैयारी नहीं किए हो, इवन दो जो पूछा है उससे रिलेट कर सकते हो आपकी तैयारी जो है, बट उस समय आपको स्ट्राइक नहीं कर रहा है, क्योंकि आप काम कंपोज्ड कूल माइंड से नहीं हो. आपको बहुत कूल रहना है, कंपोज्ड रहना है. ये लड़का उत्सव जो था, इसकी अच्छी बात थी, ये थोड़ा काम एंड कंपोज था. आभास भी काम एंड कंपोज था, बट बीच बीच में वो ओपिनियनेटेड हो रहा था, जो कि मे बी जो इंटरव्यूअर है वो सोचेगा कि अपने आप को जेम्स बॉन्ड समझ रहा है क्या, जो ये सब बोल रहा है कि लोगों का काम है बोलना, क्या कर सकते हैं. तो कूल कंपोज रहना बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, बिकॉज इंटरव्यू एक्चुअली में एक एटीट्यूडनल टेस्ट है. अगर आप अच्छा एटीट्यूड दिखाते हैं, आपकी लाइकेबिलिटी कितनी इंपॉर्टेंट बात होती है. मे बी आपका इंटरव्यू में जो सवाल क्वेश्चन आंसर्स था, उसमें यू weren't able to answer all the questions correctly, but the interviewer liked your candidature or liked you. You have to understand this, but I'm putting it straight and simple. If they liked you, you are selected. Nothing can beat that. Nothing can beat that. You'll just be inside. प्लस 2 लोग इंटरव्यू ले रहे हो या 3 लोग इंटरव्यू ले रहे हो, अगर एक प्रोफेसर को आप बहुत पसंद आ गए तो वो आपको इन कर लेगा. बाकी प्रोफेसर भी तो उनके साथ ही टीम वर्क है ना, कुछ बोलेंगे नहीं. सो वैसे हो जाएगा कि कुछ प्रोफेसर को कुछ कैंडिडेट अच्छे लग रहे हैं, कुछ को कुछ लग रहे हैं, सो दे कैन गेट यू इन, बिकॉज आर ह्यूमन बीइंग्स ना. ऐसा रोबोट तो नहीं है दैट फिल्टर मैकेनिज्म है, यस नो यस नो यस नो, कुछ बाइनरी टाइप का चल रहा है मार्किंग सिस्टम वहां पर. सो यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड. कौशलेंद्र पूछ रहा है मीडियोकर सीवी है, तो मीडियोकर सीवी के भी जो मीडियोकर पॉइंट्स उनको अच्छे से बताएं. समटाइम्स ओके, सो जैसा मैंने एटीट्यूड के बारे में बात किया, ऑनेस्टी सिंसियरिटी सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट होती है इंटरव्यू में. अगर आपके पास साधारण पॉइंट्स भी है, अगर आप उसको सिंसियरिटी के बाद के से बोलोगे तो आपका सिलेक्शन हो जाएगा. क्यों? क्योंकि मे बी उस इंटरव्यूअर को पता है आपका प्रोफाइल देखे कि आपको लिमिटेड ही अपॉर्चुनिटी मिली है. आदमी को चौके छक्के मारने के लिए ग्राउंड की भी तो जरूरत होती है ना. बहुत लोग हैं, बहुत स्टूडेंट्स हैं जिनको अभी तक उतना अपॉर्चुनिटी नहीं मिला है, वैसा स्केल नहीं मिला है. छोटा स्केल मिला है तो इसलिए छोटा अचीवमेंट है, तो स्केल के अनुसार छोटा अचीवमेंट है, तो उसके बारे में आपको बोलना है. यू माइट गेट सेलेक्टेड. Can I ask this question? How you reduce your stress? May is talking with mom and dad. हाँ, this can be one of the reason, things that you can say, that maybe family वालों से बात करने से stress जो है वो चला जाता है. बहुत बढ़िया. Fine. So now we are going to be going to our next candidate, and Gurpreet Singh Tuteja is the next candidate.
Yeah. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Gurpreet. Be a little loud. I think there is some, because like just beside our office there is one Kalyan Mandap marriage party is going on, and there's like too much of noises here. So be a little loud.
Yeah, sure. Am I audible now, or should I be louder? Hello.
Hi. So Gurpreet, my first question to you is, if suppose you are given this opportunity to design the selection process of IIM Ahmedabad,
Right.
where you have to give weightage to different parameters, whether it is 10-12 graduation or work experience or academic diversity, gender diversity, CAT, and interview and AWT. In the final, for the interview selection, what will be your selection criterion? What will be the weightages assigned to different parameters, and what will be those parameters? And for the final selection also, what will be the parameters and what will be the different weightages given?
Got it. So first I'll start with the shortlisting for interview. Right. So I feel that I'll give slightly more weightage to CAT, like around 70% of weightage I would give to CAT, and the rest 30% would go to 10th, 12th graduation, work ex, and gender diversity. So
But what will be the distribution of points of these 30
yeah.
points?
Yeah, I'll just come on that. So I'll give around 7.5, 7.5 to 10th and 12th, and around 7.5 to WorkX, and the like rest 5 points I'll give to academic diversity and 2.5% to gender diversity out of 30%.
So you're saying 7.5, 7.5, 7.5 will be 10, 12th WorkX.
Yeah.
Graduation, 0 points.
Yeah, I missed the graduation part. Sorry, my bad. So yeah, in the WorkX part, what we can do is 7.5, 7.5, 7.5, and 5 to graduation, and the rest 5 to WorkX, and 2.5 to gender diversity, and 2.5 to academic diversity. Sorry, my bad.
Okay, so basically you're saying that for the first round of selection, for the interview shortlist, 70% you will be giving to CAT examination, which is the huge chunk.
Yeah.
7.5 to 10, 7.5 to 12, 5 to graduation, 5 to WorkX, 2.5 to academic diversity, 2.5 to gender diversity.
Yeah.
Now, I want to know, I want you to be, honest with me. Is it because you have got a very high percentile, 99.99? That's the reason you want a 70% to be given to CAT? That is the first thing. Are you biased because of your own candidature? And B, do you want to give 2.5 marks to academic diversity because you are not an engineer so that you can earn those points as well? And is it because your 10th is 10 on 10 CGPA, 12th is 86.4? That what is the reason you want to give graduation lesser marks than 10, 12th, knowing that graduation is more recent, the student will be more mature, and the marks will be more, actual reflection of his academic, performance than 10th, 12th? And also because in graduation we are expecting that you would have selected a subject out of your own interest. So why the graduation marks is less than 10, 12? Work experience, you're giving 5 points. So what will be the breakage of those 5 points? Like how many months or how many years of experience?
So for less than 12 months of experience, we can just give a 0 marks, I feel, because in the first 12 months the person is just learning the work. There's not much exposure to the work or to the people or to the industry as well. So I feel that less than 12 months could be given 0 points, and greater than 36 months could be given 5 points. And because after some point of time there is some saturation, I feel, right? And so if even if you do more than 3 years,
How many months of experience do you have?
I have around 24 months. I have around 19 months of experience as of today.
So again, are you biased because you have more than 12 months of experience? You want to give it points, but below 12 months. Don't you think it's being a little biased? Like basically you are equating someone with a 12 months of experience to a fresher who has 0. Don't you think 1 year he could have or she could have learned something? And then again, you are capping it at 36 months. That is 3 years only. That will devoid of us of some really talented people, who have 5 years of experience, 4 years of experience, 6 years of experience. You straight away want to. I hope you know that the trend abroad in the universities like Harvard, Wharton, Stanford, MIT, INSEAD, LBS is to basically reward the work experience professionals more when it comes to selection.
Right. So should I just start with the first point first?
Yes.
Yeah. So regarding the CAT percentile, I feel that we should focus, why I gave more weightage to CAT percentile is why we should focus on what the person is today instead of what the person was maybe 2 years back.
But it's an exam. How can you make this statement where you are today? You can equate it to, questions of maths and reasoning and English, because we won't be asking you to basically solve time, speed, and distance here in real management education, or there won't be any geometry mensuration question.
Yeah, so the person might have also developed aptitude from he must have made some efforts to get to a stage, right, from where he was earlier, even though we won't be doing mensuration in a CAT or MBA, right? In MBA, sorry, my bad. In MBA, even though we won't be doing mensuration, but I feel that the efforts really matter, and that also increases the overall aptitude of the person, right? Solving questions fast and in a structured way paves way to structured thinking as well, and fast decision making as well, right? So that really helps in an MBA, I feel, and even in future. So
And why in graduation is given lesser points than 10th and 12th?
So the graduation I feel is more like different for different people, right? 10th is mostly like all of the people have mostly similar subjects. In 12th also maybe I feel that there's a huge chunk, like there are only 3-4 divisions overall. But when it comes to graduation, like there are so many streams and so many different fields, it becomes really difficult to weigh everyone on the same scale sometimes. Some of the institutes have maybe higher degree of academic toughness as compared to other institutes, so it might become a little biased. That's why I thought of keeping graduation a little limited.
And work experience?
Work experience wise, I feel like for work experience, like again, like what's your question regarding 12 less than 12 months, or like?
Yes, both. Why less than 12 months zero, and why above 36 months you're capping, like no more points?
Yeah, so less than 12 months, like as I told that the person is still like going into the industry and learning things. First 12 months is I also have done, I also have some job experience. And even if I would have appeared for an interview last year, I would have been okay with this less than 12 months, because I know that at that time I didn't know anything. I knew very less things. So as compared to, my knowledge has slightly
You
increased,
get a
but not
call
that much
from
maybe.
ABC last year?
No, actually, I didn't give CAT
Last to
last
last
year.
year, did you get calls from ABC?
No, I didn't get a call from ABC.
This time, do you have calls from ABC?
Yes, I do have.
So by giving academic diversity points, now do you hate your engineering friends? Have they shown you the bad attitude that they are superior or something like that on campus, that you want to further rob them of an even playing field? Because you may be aware that if you are a gem, you're a general engineer male, then even a very, very high percentile may not guarantee ABC calls.
Right. So, like, I feel that engineers do also have some advantage on the CAT part. Definitely, like their quant is more stronger. They have prepared for JE and those exams, so they have slight advantage there. And even in DILR, you have to do a lot of mathematics, right? So they have slight advantage there. So I feel that there should be some academic diversity, and as well, like I would like to interact with people from maybe from finance or maybe from art who is interested into my field, which is product management. So like till now, the product managers that I have interacted with in my company as well are mostly
Can
engineers.
you tell us 3 qualities which you would expect of a product manager?
Yeah.
Three
So
qualities or 3 strengths or 3 traits, whatever you want to call them.
so the first quality I would say is user empathy. Whatever you are building is for the consumer. Like if you don't feel the pain of the consumer, or if you don't know what the user wants, you can't build the next big thing for the
Second point,
organization. Second point is planning. Planning what to build first, because you don't have infinite resources with you. You have limited sets of engineers, designers, and everyone. You have to work with them. So planning is really important. And the third point is execution. Like if you're not able to execute anything properly,
why
no.
did you waste 4 years of your life studying earth sciences?
Yeah.
Why did you waste 4 years of your life? Because right now your job has nothing to do with earth sciences. And in MBA also, we don't have any industry exposure or subject which we can relate to earth sciences. So why did you do this?
So, like, I wouldn't say that it was a waste, definitely. I learned a lot of things during my 4 years of graduation. The academic flexibility of IIT Kanpur was very good. So, I tried some of the management and economic service courses there as well, along with earth sciences. And like, it is not a waste, like earth sciences, like when I joined, I liked the curriculum of it. Even while studying it, like it was interesting to study. Uh, and like regarding the
Why
current,
did you select this course?
so
Why
I
did you just get a seat at a premier institute?
it was not just that. I was also getting some of the other courses in other institutes as well, in other IITs as well. I had chosen this course because of two reasons. One was like I researched about its curriculum. I liked it.
What
Like
if you were offered computer science at your college? You would have taken that subject? You would have preferred that subject?
maybe yes, yeah, I would have preferred that subject. To
So
be honest.
as again, my question is, if you are the HRD Minister of India, what one step you would take to ensure that people basically don't compromise on the subject they want to study in undergraduate because of not getting the right institute they want to study in? what will be that one step?
Sorry, can you repeat your question? What will this?
If suppose you are the Human Resource Development Minister of India, HRD Minister, so the education will be under your ministry, what will be that one step you would take to ensure that someone who wants to study computer science studies computer science and does not study earth sciences just because they were not getting that particular stream in a top college?
Okay, so I feel that like the level of other institutes could also be improved to some place, wherein users have a pool of institutes to select from, and there's no so much.
How will you improve the level of the institutes, average institutes?
So I feel that like more number of high quality professors like to be given to other institutes, and also the industry connect that we can establish from there, right?
How will you ensure that high quality professors will be going to mediocre institutes, say an IT professor going to maybe a lower rung engineering college? Why will they do that?
Yeah. So like as soon as like as I've seen the professors, they are really interested in the research part. One of the major portion of them is doing research every time. So if the proper research facilities is provided in those institutes, and they can publish their papers, or work with good people there, they will definitely be interested in working in those institutes as well.
Okay. If suppose we have to ensure that India becomes the next superpower, which are the 3 key areas that we need to work upon?
Got it. Yeah, let me just think for a minute. Yeah, so I feel that like first is definitely information technology, since it is already booming and India is already taking over it. The UPI, Unified Payment Interface that we have, is already being adopted by many countries. And in information technology, the other parts like AI and ML also comes up. And
What is the latest happening on the AI front in our country?
in our country, in the AI front, like I'm not aware of like in what is happening in our country, but over the world, like the ChatGPT is in news currently.
I'm talking about India from India perspective, because we want to make India the next superpower. So there's a lot of thing happening even in our country with respect to AI. The government is also pushing a lot of advances in AI that should happen here in our country, and they're confident that AI will be one of the major reasons why India will be ahead in the years to come. Okay, what's the second area?
Second area which I feel is a power is agriculture. I feel that I don't know much about that field, to be honest.
India has all been about agricultural right from the day of independence,
Yeah.
देश है वीर जवानों का, किसानों का. So India has been agri focused. Are we going wrong somewhere? Because I recall that few days ago, Mr. Gautam Adani was in Aapki Adalat. So he was asked a question related to the farmer strike in North, that what is your take? So he said that he agrees with the Modi government and the implementation that they were going to undertake, and farmers would have eventually benefited and everyone would have been benefited from it. So I want to know, when you say we need to work on agriculture, what exactly do you mean? Which areas? How to go about it?
Yeah, so like as you also told about the Modi government laws, one thing that I was thinking was we can export much more in terms of agriculture, right? And the regarding the Modi government laws, it was regarding the decentralization of selling our harvest, right? So currently, a farmer generally sells in his mandi or his area only. So like it was more about decentralization, but the issue with that law was there was no minimum support price that was defined, which is currently being given to the farmers. So that was
the government agree later that they will be basically ensuring a minimum price to the farmers?
No, they actually revoked the whole law as well. They didn't agree on anything. They just revoked the whole law, and like it is continuing to be the current case. Like how was it was happening before, the same thing is happening.
So you basically think that the farmers were justified in their strike?
Yeah, they were justified in some sense because they also were terrified with the fact that the private companies might exploit them, right? So
Then
they
this is
wanted
what the Modi government has been talking about, that there is no role of government in business. They want everything to be given to private players. Do you agree with this?
I don't agree with this that everything should be given to private players, because if there are some things in the hands of government, like in terms of down economy, they can really help. For example, like during the COVID times, or maybe not during the COVID times. Like I feel that some of the shares of PSUs or these things, if it's in the hands of government, they can just increase the production in down times, and they can increase the GDP overall, I feel. So
What are the other threats if everything starts getting privatized? What are the few threats that you see in future?
one of the threats is monopoly. I feel that in some fields there might be some monopoly, and the prices might escalate a lot of things. So inflation, that would lead to inflation. So that is one of the
Have
threats.
you heard of this term known as chaebols? CHAEBOLS?
No.
Chaebols were basically very big companies like Daewoo Motors also, in South Korea, these big conglomerates which were always hand in glove with the government. They had the government backing, and as you said, they had become big monopolies, manipulating the prices and indulging in unfair practices. Finally, once the government, that particular government dissolved, most of these chaebols, they also, were gone. So that crisis did happen in South Korea, in the 90s. Fine. Any question you would like to? So suppose this is the IIM Ahmedabad interview. Any question you would like to ask us?
Yeah. So like I would like to ask one question. Is there any research happening in the product management field currently in IIM Ahmedabad? Since I'm interested in product management, so like, is there any specialized research in terms of that?
So Gurpreet, the best thing is that tomorrow I'm going to Bangalore to meet my friends, and one of them, because of you guys only, one of them is basically in senior product management at Google. So maybe next week when he'll be interviewing you, he will be coming up with some real good points on product management, because I don't belong to that area. But otherwise, fantastic interview. This was very, very good. I also would like to apologize to Utsav and Abhas, because I think there was some audio issue. So I had to really, stick my ears to the computer. But now I think the voice clarity has improved. So I was able to even hear every single word very well. This boy has done a fantastic job, because whatever I have asked, he has gone on a very planned way. And a very commonsensical approach has been used, whether we talk about product empathy, user empathy, planning, execution, or we were talking about how to improve the quality of the mediocre education institutes, so that there is less of this, or he talked about the industry interface or other things he talked about. I think I have nothing so far against him. The only big problem was the usage of the word yeah. So you have to understand that most of these professors, they'll be pretty old. Like you have experienced the same thing with Ranganathan sir, who had come for the boot camp. He is not that young like me. So like till the very end, one thing stuck to his mind was that some people were sitting cross-legged. They want respect. They want respect. So maybe you are not trying to disrespect them by using this word yeah a lot of times, but they will feel otherwise. You need to be politically smart. You have to understand, you need to be politically smart. Content is king, fine, you get the points, but it's an attitudinal test. Don't do anything which can fetch you negative points. So आपको कैट की तरह है, 2-3 सवाल सही कर रहा है, एक सवाल गलत कर रहा है, और एक सवाल के कारण -1 जा रहा है, बाकी कारण +3 जा रहा है, तो थोड़ा पीछे पीछे भी ट्रेन जाता जा रहा है. सो ऐसा तुम्हें बिल्कुल ही नहीं करना है. आंसर्स तुम्हारे सब सही थे, या के अलावा लास्ट में भी तुमने बोला प्रोडक्ट मैनेजमेंट में क्योंकि तुम्हारा इंटरेस्ट है, तो उसको लेके क्या रिसर्च उसमें चल रहा है. प्रोफेसर्स अगर वहां पर है जो उस फील्ड से आएंगे, तो वो खुद ही रिसर्च कर रहे होंगे, तो तुम्हें एक्चुअली में रिसर्च के बारे में बताएंगे. एक जगह जहां तुम्हारा इंफॉर्मेशन बहुत ही कम था, तुमने प्लेन आईटी बोला, तुम्हें इंडस्ट्री 4.0 मतलब बेसिकली फोर्थ इंडस्ट्रियल रिवोल्यूशन के बारे में बात करना था थोड़ा बहुत. ये बहुत ही मतलब इंपॉर्टेंट था. जो बच्चे भी बीटेक बैकग्राउंड से नहीं भी हैं, लेकिन उनका फाइनली इंटरेस्ट अगर प्रोडक्ट मैनेजमेंट, बिकॉज टेक्नोलॉजी से भी रिलेटेड है ना, यू यूज द टेक्नोलॉजी फॉर प्रोडक्ट डेवलपमेंट, लेटेस्ट टेक्नोलॉजी बेसिकली, तो इसका अच्छा खासा इंफॉर्मेशन तुम्हारे पास होना चाहिए. और I think anyone else who wants to, but good job. I seldom have a good experience in interview. Generally I think I don't like the performance of 90% of the students. But if I was the interviewer, you were passed today, you were selected. Any questions? Anyone wants to ask? Or if you can they ask question from our ZAT or CAT answer sheet? No, they won't. I think ये आयुष ने चोरी किया है, इसे लग रहा है कि सर फिर से अगर पूछेंगे तो मैं पकड़ा तो नहीं जाऊंगा। ऐसा हुआ था बिहार बोर्ड की टॉपर के साथ, जब उसका इंटरव्यू लेना लोगों ने शुरू किया तो उसे कुछ भी नहीं आता था। So नहीं आयुष, the CAT is gone, ZAT is gone. You are in the interview. You don't defend yourself, Ayush. So if you are in the interview, they won't ask you anything related to CAT, ZAT. Yes, they might ask you some question related to maths if they want to. Sometimes we get confused that why they're asking us maths questions. Are they trying to see how good we are at mathematics? No. Almost all the good B schools, 70% of the batch will be joining before the starting date of the program. So अगर मानिए starting date है 30 तारीख कोई प्रोग्राम का, 30 जून, तो 70% 60-70% बैच को 30 जून नहीं 1 जून को ही बुला लिया जाएगा। और अगर आपका से मैथ्स क्वेश्चंस वो इसलिए पूछ रहे हैं कि अगर आप मैथ्स में कमजोर थे तो रिफ्रेशर कोर्स आपको कराया जाएगा मैथ्स में, और जो बच्चे कम्युनिकेशन में कमजोर थे उनके लिए कम्युनिकेशन स्किल्स का वो कोर्स कराएंगे 1 महीने का। इसमें भी आपको ये देखना है कि डोंट थिंक दैट इफ दे आर टेस्टिंग योर कम्युनिकेशन स्किल्स यू आर रिजेक्टेड। Maybe they are liking your candidature, they're going to select your candidature, but you are lacking in something and they want to work on it before the actual session of MBA starts. You don't have to be good in everything to get selected. You have to be good in the things which you are good at, like your CV, your candidature, उसमें लिखा होगा ना क्या किया है, क्या अच्छा लगता है, क्या हॉबी है, क्या इंटरेस्ट है, क्या इंटरेस्ट के अलावा स्किल है, क्या स्ट्रेंथ है, क्या पढ़ा है, उसमें अच्छा होना है। बाकी तो बहुत चीजों में अगर कोई किसी का भी बैठ जाएगा कि क्या चीजें हैं जिसमें आप अच्छे नहीं है, 100 चीजें निकाल देगा जिसमें आप अच्छे नहीं है। Someone is asking what type of question should I ask if they are asking you if is there any question you want to ask. So like Gurpreet did, he talked about what is the latest research that is happening in your institute with respect to product development and all, because he is interested in that area. Plus he was expected also, Gurpreet was expected to even study if, but it wouldn't have been mentioned there. मे बी अगर कोई उसको लेके सेमिनार सिंपोजियम कुछ हुआ है तो मेंशन होगा, अदरवाइज उसने सही सवाल पूछा, बिकॉज ये सवाल जो लेटेस्ट रिसर्च हो रहा है वो प्रोफेसर ही बता सकता है, जनरली और कोई नहीं बता सकता है। बट हाँ, इवेंट जो वहां पर हुए होंगे, सो एनीवन कैन आस्क एनी क्वेश्चन, बट जनरली यू शुड आस्क अ क्वेश्चन रिलेटेड टू व्हाट यू वांट टू डू or your comfort zone. Then only, even if there has been not much of a discussion of that particular thing, but because you are coming that way, they will start discussion on that front and you will be of course prepared. So इस नीरज बोल रहा है like in the beginning you were forcing biasness in the conversation. तो इसने बहुत अच्छे से मतलब समझाया है कि अगर ये IIM अहमदाबाद का डायरेक्टर होता और इसे डिसाइड करना होता कि क्या पैरामीटर्स यूज करे सिलेक्शन पाने के लिए अंदर, तो इसने बहुत अच्छे से समझाया है, बहुत ही अच्छे से। क्यों? इसने देखो वर्क एक्स वाला पॉइंट भी बोला, इसने 10th-12th ग्रेजुएशन में भी समझाया कि देखो ग्रेजुएशन में आपके स्ट्रीम के हिसाब से मार्क्स मिलता है, आपकी यूनिवर्सिटी से के हिसाब से मार्क्स मिलता है, और मतलब बहुत बायस भी होता है, बिकॉज इतनी सारी यूनिवर्सिटीज हैं, लोकल यूनिवर्सिटीज हैं, सेंट्रल यूनिवर्सिटीज हैं, और पता नहीं प्राइवेट यूनिवर्सिटीज हैं, और मतलब तो उसके हिसाब से वो ये कहना चाह रहा था कि 10th-12th में थोड़ा जनरल है, जैसे आईसीएसई बोर्ड है, सीबीएसई बोर्ड है, मतलब थोड़ा जनरलाइज है तो उसको आप ज्यादा पॉइंट दे, आगे थोड़ा बायस है तो उसको कम पॉइंट दे। वो बहुत ही अच्छा पॉइंट था। साथ में एकेडमिक डाइवर्सिटी की बात करके उसने वर्कएक्स में उसने एक पॉइंट ये भी बताया कि मेरा सर कुछ ही महीने पहले 12 ही महीना एक्सपीरियंस होता, तब भी वो बोल रहा है कि मैं बेसिकली उतना पॉइंट्स नहीं देता, बिकॉज इनिशियल वर्क एक्सपीरियंस में आप ज्यादा ट्रेन हो रहे हो, आप ज्यादा सीख रहे हो और आप कम कंट्रीब्यूट कर रहे हो, बट सीखने को भी वेटेज दे सकता था। बट ठीक है, वो अपनी तरह से उसको जस्टिफाई करने की कोशिश कर रहा था। 36 महीने के ऊपर वाला भी वो ठीक से नहीं कर पाया था, बट ठीक है, मतलब यू वोंट बी एबल टू बी परफेक्ट इन इंटरव्यू। 10 on 10 किसी को नहीं मिलेगा। जैसे अगर ये एक्चुअल इंटरव्यू चल रहा होता तो मुझे लगता है मे बी गुरप्रीत को 8 या 8.5 मिलता। 10 on 10 बहुत रेयर कैंडिडेट्स को मिलता है। फॉर एग्जाम्पल, मैंने अगर 10 साल में सोचो 500 इंटरव्यू लिए होंगे तो मे बी 3 या 4 होंगे, 2 या 3 को नाम तक मैं जानता हूँ जिनको मतलब फुल स्कोर मिलता। और 70% कैट को दे रहा। उसने बहुत अच्छे से बताया कि कैट है, उसमें एक कंपटीशन है, स्ट्रैटेजी का इस्तेमाल है, स्ट्रक्चर्ड थिंकिंग का इस्तेमाल है, जो कि मैनेजमेंट में डिसीजन मेकिंग में भी काम, तो उसने अच्छा इसमें काम किया था। मतलब ही वाज एबल टू, सो बेसिकली आई वाज सेइंग दैट ही इज बायस्ड बट ही वाज एबल टू गेट बैक टू मी विद सम लॉजिकल रीजनिंग फिर अनिकेत पूछ रहा है कैन वी आस्क क्वेश्चन लाइक स्कॉलरशिप और आइडियल कैंडिडेट्स। नहीं तो स्कॉलरशिप अगर होगा तो खुद ही वो मेंशन होगा ना उसमें उनके वेबसाइट में। डोंट आस्क देम थिंग्स व्हिच विल बी देयर ओनली व्हेन आस्क्ड अबाउट कि कुछ पूछो हमसे। ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं पूछो जो है वेबसाइट में। बोलेंगे हमारा वेबसाइट आप नहीं पढ़ के आए, उनको और पॉइंट मिल जाएगा, क्यों नहीं पढ़ के आए। व्हाट इज बेस्ट सेंटेंस और वर्ड आई कैन से आफ्टर इंटरव्यू? कुछ नहीं, बस बोल सकते हैं थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू फॉर गिविंग मी एन अपॉर्चुनिटी। ये मत बोलना डिफेंसिव होके कि सर आई कुड हैव डन बेटर। यू नो, ट्राई टू डू बेटर व्हेन द इंटरव्यू इज गोइंग ऑन। व्हाट्स द पॉइंट कि इंटरव्यू खत्म हो गया फिर बोल रहे आई कुड हैव डन बेटर और समथिंग लाइक दैट। So that is it. So I think very good job. We'll take a minute's break again, but anyone who wants to post questions can post here. Good job, Gurpreet. We'll be taking more interviews, so good job. So I'll just take a minute's break. I'll be back. Have any question? If you do not have any, why won't you? It's an opportunity. Anything asked in the interview is an opportunity. You have to find a question. आप किसी भी इंटरव्यू के लिए जा रहे हैं बिजनेस स्कूल का, तो प्लीज आप उस पर रिसर्च करके कोई सवाल तो उससे निकालो, क्योंकि ये पूछते हैं, कभी कभी पूछते हैं। तो अगर आपसे पूछते हैं तो ऑफ कोर्स यू लाइक टू स्कोर ना। why would you like to like not score in the interview? So आपको ये करना है, you have to. और सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट क्या है? यूएसपी डॉक्यूमेंट, यूनिक सेलिंग पॉइंट डॉक्यूमेंट, जो आपके 5 6 6 7 4 5, कुछ बच्चों के बेचारे कम पॉइंट्स हैं 3 पॉइंट होंगे, बट वो आपको कोशिश करना है कि इंटरव्यू के दौरान उसको अच्छे से समझाएं ताकि आपको उसके बेसिस पे पॉइंट्स मिले। देखिए जो इंटरव्यूअर है उसको भी समझ आता है दैट यू वांट टू गेट सेलेक्टेड, दैट्स द रीजन ही वांट्स टू सी हाउ हार्ड यू आर ट्राइंग। The interviewer is not a fool that top institute का interview चल रहा है, he won't expect the students to give his or her best. In fact, one reason why some students are not selected is because they are not giving their best at all. They're not trying to speak up, they're not talking about the highlights of their CV, their strengths, skills, achievements, why to select them, and things like that. I have also seen, for example, Gurpreet did a good job, but there was another student, Tarima, who had a 99.99 percentile, and she was not a person who would generally speak up. Because of which she was not able to convert her ABC call and finally joined IIM Lucknow. She did very well. She joined Nomura Group as an investment banker, but she could have made it to, I wouldn't say a better IIM, or maybe I can say a better IIM if she would have done a better job at speaking up. You have to speak up. It is very, very important to speak up, basically. Divyanshu is asking, sir, why should we not select you? How could we answer to that question? So, Aprajita, can you call Webber from my phone? He wanted to give the interview, but we had not confirmed. So, okay, fine. So, why should we not select you to that question? So, it's basically a tricky question, and there are two ways to answer to this question. First, you like to talk about, sir, I've been given this opportunity of few minutes to basically discuss on why should I get selected. So why shouldn't I get selected is simply out of the question. I would like to talk on why should I be selected. So there is a 70-80% chance they'll say, okay, fine, go ahead. You want to talk about why to get selected. You tell us what are the points, why should we select you. 50-20% chance is that the professor will say, don't try to bore us. We have asked you why not to be selected. So you kindly talk about why not to be selected. Now, why to be selected, your strengths will come, skills will come, achievements will come. So why not to select you? Of course, your weaknesses will come, your failures will come, things in which you are not good will come. But then also you have to talk about what is the improvement plan that you are following to basically work on your weaknesses or your past failures. How did you deal with them and what did you learn from them? So you always have to give a positive spin to something which is negative as well. That is how you're improving on that front. I hope I was able to respond to that question. What is anyone else? Anyone else? Is it okay to ask the professor about their field and work? But why would they this? Yuvraj, why will you ask them what is your field and what is your work? You are supposed to Google them. You are supposed to know like before entering the interview room. So when you will be having the interview, if suppose it is a physical interview, then it is very easy. You'll be knowing who are the professors basically. If it is an online interview, you wouldn't be able to know. Only after the interview, when you Google the website and see the professors and all, you'll be able to know. But then they might consider it to be rude. Why are you asking them what is their field or what do they do and all? So it's basically I would suggest not to ask this question. And any other question which is there? We'll be having lots of interview. How should I answer if MBA is a backup? No, Neeraj, you cannot even answer MBA as a backup. You're going there for selection, so MBA is not a backup. Other things are a backup. You have to, कभी भी ऐसा नहीं दिखाना MBA के अलावा ऐसा कुछ है, MBA सेकंड है, कुछ और फर्स्ट है. मतलब वहां क्लैरिटी चाहिए. You need clarity. For example, first interview आभास का ले रहे थे, confused, I'm slightly confused, kudos to those who have 100% clarity. नहीं, ये सब नहीं चलेगा. मेहनत किया है, परसेंटाइल लाया है, इंटरव्यू का मौका मिला है, हवा में, मतलब इट विल जस्ट blow up in the air. So you have to give your best, give them clarity है मन में, स्किल है, स्ट्रेंथ है, अचीवमेंट है, पढ़ेंगे, अच्छा करेंगे कुछ, मतलब उसको इस पॉइंट पे, इस लाइन ऑफ डायरेक्शन पे ले जाना है. Any other questions you guys have? So I will tell you what is the plan for the coming weeks. I hope you guys enjoyed the boot camp last weekend thoroughly. Now हम लोग का दूसरा boot camp हो रहा है, not this coming weekend but उसके बाद वाला weekend. We'll be having the boot camp, and of course again you'll be having panelists and we'll be having interviews and all. And abhi, because a lot of you guys are having interviews, so abhi in the other Zoom channel, Zoom link, Ram Ratnam sir is taking interviews of IIM Rohtak students because they have their interviews tomorrow. So some students even have their interviews tomorrow for IIM Rohtak. And is Huzaif there today? Is Huzaif there? Huzaif, is Huzaif there? Because I think he's having his IIM Lucknow interview in the next 3-4 days. If he's there, if you can tell Sumit to call him and connect with him so that he can give his interview right now. I didn't get a chance to actually talk to him and line him up for the interview today, but he's having, so IIM Lucknow's interview is also starting from next week. Interviews this time is happening fast. So you need to like really prepare a lot, study a lot. अखबार पढ़ो. कभी कभी क्या है that वी डोंट नो कि क्या सही सोर्स है पढ़ने का, जनरल अवेयरनेस, तो कम से कम न्यूज़पेपर तो देख लो, टॉप न्यूज़ को तो समझ लो, वो बहुत ही जरूरी है. इट इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. साथ में अपना पर्सनल पीआई जो क्वेश्चंस है उसके आंसर्स पूरा स्ट्रीमलाइन करो. इसका मतलब समझो, स्ट्रीमलाइन का क्या मतलब होता है. वर्बोसिटी को पूरा निकालना है. देयर नीड्स टू बी एन एब्सेंस ऑफ सब्जेक्टिविटी एंड वर्बोसिटी इन योर आंसर. योर आंसर्स नीड टू बी पॉइंटेड, स्ट्रीमलाइन, bullet pointed, factual, like try to keep it as realistic and as to the point, as crisp as possible. वो आपको करना है. साथ में you need to practice a lot in terms of mock interviews. Also, some of you don't have this habit of conversing in English, so you need to start it, because in the interview you cannot use Hindi as the language, because some of the professors may not be from Hindi speaking states, so they may not appreciate it and they might see it as a weakness in you. However, if you are, suppose आप इंटरव्यू दे रहे हो, आप यूपी के हो, प्रोफेसर भी यूपी के हैं, और कुछ मतलब मुस्कुराते हुए पूछे हिंदी में कि और भैया बताइए लखनऊ में क्या अच्छा है, तो आप बोल सकते हैं कि सर लखनऊ में ये अच्छा है, वो अच्छा है, अपने वे में आप बोल सकते हैं. तो जैसा आपको बताया, उसका लाइकेबिलिटी बढ़ेगा, आपका कनेक्ट बढ़ेगा प्रोफेसर के साथ. सो इट्स नॉट completely banned to speak in your local tongue, or like only if you are basically asked a question in Hindi or some other local dialect which is common between the interviewer and the interviewee, language common, then you can respond in that particular language. Mock interviews Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So Saturday also we have mock interviews. Tomorrow is Friday, so tomorrow will be a general awareness session. However, Ram Ratnam sir was requesting that because in IIM Rohtak you have extempore, so instead of the general awareness session, maybe if he can take extempore, or if you guys want general awareness session only, then we'll have general awareness session on Friday. On Saturday he'll be taking interviews. Sunday Anil sir will be taking interviews, and then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, panelists from outside, big people from industry or academia, they'll be taking your interviews on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Friday, maybe we'll be having the general awareness next week, because Saturday, Sunday is the boot camp. Not day after tomorrow ka Saturday. I'm talking about next weekend. There'll be a boot camp. So who will be given preference? Of course, students who have done well in the examinations. Also students jinke call aa gaye hain. So they will be given a chance to attend the boot camp. And as you are aware, back-to-back interviews will be happening. So any doubts so far? Any doubts so far regarding the boot camp? I hope you guys will be able to join us for the next weekend boot camp. And if suppose your interviews is before the boot camp, so don't worry. Like every day we'll be having interviews, and we will be giving you a chance. Any doubt so far? Any doubt so far? Aparajita, if you can call Sumit, so that Huzef, the SOP or the CV, something is there. Is Huzef there? Even though we have called him last minute, you know. Acha. Utkarsh is asking how many total boot camps are there. It depends. Like as long as Huzef is there, fine, Huzef. So Huzef, you can switch on your video and audio. Utkarsh is asking how many boot camps will be there. So it depends. As long as you guys are not prepared and the interviews are going on, I'll try to do as much as possible. Try not to miss any boot camp. That is my one single suggestion, because boot camps, they have a lot of, rub-off effect in terms of how to give the interview, what's the right way. Okay, Harshvardhan is asking, sir, if one of the interviewers asks us a question in the regional language, and we answer it in the same, won't the other interviewer feel offended? नहीं, तुम्हें बाकियों का नहीं सोचना है. जब एक आदमी ध्यान दे रहा है, वही बहुत बड़ी बात है, उसका ही ध्यान ले लो. जैसे मैंने बोला, अगर एक ने भी पसंद किया आपको, वो आपका सिलेक्शन हो जाएगा. You will be selected, so don't worry about it. बोलते ना, bird in hand is better than two in bush. So you don't think about the other two in bush. One is in hand. Do justice to that. Sir, for NMIMS students, will we have a separate boot camp? नहीं होगा. NMIMS is not that big an institute or great an institute, or that top an institute that we need to have a separate boot camp for NMIMS call getters. But yes, NMIMS call getters will also be invited to the boot camp. They will be given boot camps along with other B school boot camp में जो आएंगे उनके साथ. Any other question? So we are going to start another interview. This will be the last interview for today. And I hope Huzef is there. Are you there, Huzef? If Huzef is there, I would request him to, switch on the camera. If he's not ready, because I suddenly called him for the interview. I told you suddenly I'll be calling some people for the interview. So maybe do not get, I cannot unmute. Why he cannot unmute? I would Huzef asked to unmute. Okay, he's not able to unmute.
Hi, sir. Am I audible now?
Yes, you are completely audible. You are completely audible. Okay, so friends, we'll be starting our last interview for today of Huzef. Pay attention. Good evening, Huzef.
Good evening, sir.
Can you please tell us something about yourself?
Yes, sir. My name is Uzair. I'm 22 years old. I'm from the city of Lucknow, and I'm currently pursuing my BTech in mechanical engineering at IIT-Dharwad. So, sir, being the son of a father who worked as an Indian Railway employee, a lot of stress was laid on the fact that, to have a good life, you have to clear competitive exams. So, as a result, being someone who was intrigued by science.
Suppose you said that you are from Lucknow. If suppose you have to make Lucknow a very attractive investment city, what all steps would you take to, make Lucknow very attractive from investment perspective, so that your city gets more investment and it becomes, bigger and it becomes like a metropolitan city? So how will you do it?
Sir, I feel firstly we have to take care of the law and order in the city. A lot of, I feel investors are kind of scared. Uttar Pradesh has that reputation, bad reputation of people kind of having an issue. And I think that's what drives the investors away. So law and order would be one thing which should be taken care of. Then trying to have policies in a way which promote some sectors. Let's say Bangalore became the IT hub of the country. So they had some expansionary policies, try to open up the market in a way so that people are coming in that area. And so I feel introducing new policies, maybe tax benefits can be helpful for them, and fostering startup culture.
That would be very important. Tax breaks
in the beginning to promote that growth. I think that would be necessary. But later, once it's set up, then you have if you have developed a good ecosystem, then I think you can charge it, because it would be a huge opportunity cost them for them to transfer back to some other place, I guess. So tax benefits can be one thing, and then trying to develop the entrepreneurial culture and the startup culture of the area, of the state in a way.
So you like to maybe establish a zone where startups are basically given some infra support or monetary support, something like that?
Yes, yes, definitely. That would be very helpful in that case.
Regarding your first point, that is of law and order, I have been reading a lot in the newspapers that the law and order situation has improved a lot, and the Yogi government is basically all for complete law and order. What is the real truth? What is the actual story? Because in
So,
media, a lot of things are biased.
yes, sir. If we look on papers, definitely things are maybe improving. I'm not that sure about that. I have not gone through some statistics based on that. But let's say if it's improving, I think it will take a long time, considering the fact how the reputation of UP and Bihar has been developed in this domain. And it's definitely a good sign. And so what I feel is that
What
just
is the
like we are,
reason for this? Why do you think that maybe are you indirectly saying that people from these states basically they're hot-headed, or why this situation is there at the first place?
so it's I feel it's not because of people hot headed. Firstly, I think we have a lot of corrupt politicians in the place, I guess. And let's take it from a perspective. UP is the most populous state in the country. So I feel there's a higher chance of finding people who can create nuisance in the society when you have a larger set. So that can be a reason for that. And
Can
yeah,
you
that
tell us a news in today's paper or yesterday's paper about India's population?
uh, sir, I haven't gone through the newspaper today.
What is
Yesterday.
the reason that when we look at our fathers, uncles, grandfathers, you will always remember them with a newspaper during their chai time in the morning. But if you look at your generation, it's very tough. It's very difficult, to see people with a newspaper. What is the reason?
So I feel our attention, the time gap,
Attention
attention
span, you
span,
are saying,
attention,
has
yeah,
gone.
yes, sir. It has gone along with the promotion of, short media content, TikTok, Reels. So it is kind of restricting, the youth to focus on newspapers or try to be interested by newspapers. Let's say, personally, I also have that feeling like, reading that newspaper. So some people prefer in shorts. We have a startup in shorts which provide 30-second news. So that's what's succeeding because I feel youth have a very small attention span currently, and people are not that into going through the newspapers.
If suppose you are owning a publishing house or a newspaper company, say like Bennett Coleman, what would you do to make newspapers more attractive to the youngsters, for the youngsters?
I would try to increase the digital distribution.
No, I'm talking about normal, paper newspapers. If you have to popularize it among your age group or maybe school, college going, what would you do?
I mean, so we can have sections which kind of are interested by attract the attention of youth.
Like,
So let's say we have startup culture in our country. A lot of youth are very interested in that. Then we can have, let's say, sports. Maybe right now we just have one page of sports. Maybe we can extend it more, and we can focus less on politics because I feel there has been a sudden shift from that reason. Economy can be another factor. Finance, a lot of people investing in financial markets. So instead of having one specific page, maybe extend it a bit more, make it in that
do you
regards.
believe in democracy?
Yes, sir.
Like India.
Yes, it has its flaws, but yeah, it definitely.
How many people do you think in our country? It's just, I'm not looking for an exact statistics or something like that. How many people do you think in our country will be as educated as you?
I would say around 30 to 40%. Yeah.
30 to 40% people would have exposure like you in an IIT Dharwad and, will be educated. Do you really think so? Where
No,
are
sir.
you? Place
No,
you are
sir.
in?
Sir, I'm currently
You
in
look
my.
at the country's population, do you think there will be 30-40% of the people? If 30-40% of the people become like you, we will actually become a global superpower. Our per capita income, which is so low, GDP per capita will just shoot up.
No, sir. I'm saying I didn't expect think of IIT. I thought graduate.
No, I just want to know if I take you as a benchmark. If you see, if you take yourself as the model. Now, what percentage of India do you think will be above you or below you? In terms of exposure to studies, exposure to other things. which comes, as a part of studying in a college?
So I think less than 10%.
Less than 10%. So do you
Yes.
think democracy is effective for a country like India, where maybe a lot of people who are actually deciding who's going to sit there in legislature don't have that much idea about what is happening? They are not having adequate education, exposure, opportunities, and it is mostly driven by religion, caste, region, money game. Of course, politics is a very, very big money game. So don't you think democracy somewhere may not be the right answer to, managing a huge country like India, which is having such a diverse population? What is your
So,
take on it?
so I think at the end of the day, a person knows what's best for him. So democracy provides that person a power. I mean, let's say for me, education is important. But for some other guy, his caste or some relation and caste would be important. But that doesn't mean that I can take that power away from him and tell him that, you cannot vote because you are not prioritizing education. So in the end, I feel giving the power to that person is a better way than giving the power to someone, because then it also creates a chance of misuse of power.
If suppose I ask you this question again, you don't have to tell me the exact percentage. What percentage of people sitting in Lok Sabha, they are having criminal backgrounds? What will be your guess?
So around 30 to 40%, I feel.
30 to 40. Actually, it is more than that. So basically, you have majority of your legislature who are having, criminal backgrounds or allegedly having criminal backgrounds. So democracy even allows criminal to sit in decision-making position. So how do you counter this if you want to support democracy the right way for India?
So I mean, this situation is a bit awkward in that sense. It makes make democracy sound very weak, but I feel
So what
if
changes? Suppose you want to retain democracy, but what kind of measures or processes or checks you would like to keep to ensure that democracy is able to, do better in terms of improving our country?
so I feel first would be the creating awareness, education among the voters, like what is actually a right candidate. So making them kind of not just look from a personal perspective, just go far beyond that and try to look at different aspects of a candidate. So let's say if the number of candidates have criminal background is more than 50%, but still they're getting selected, still they're being elected. It shows that there was some issue which was happening at the voter side. Maybe some voters liked something about him. So what we feel is that we can educate the voters about these aspects. This guy has a criminal background. He may not be a good legislator. That should be done, I feel.
Do you support the idea of reservation in premier institutions?
Um, mm, um, Not completely. I feel there, apart from that caste reservation, if there should be an economic uh, background level of clearance on that as well. If someone is from a backward caste and he actually needs it, he has some economic background, then he should be, I feel, there.
Nowadays, in the papers, we read a lot about the tussle between judiciary and the legislature. In a country like India, which body should be given more power or authority to decide about laws and how they should be implemented? The judiciary, the Supreme Court, or the Parliament?
So I feel both should be independent, and power, it should so it's not about which gets a high more power. It's defining what is each other's power, where they can have implementation. So legislature can create laws. The judiciary is there to check it whether it's within the laws or not. So if you look at the aspect of implementation and
I'm
checking.
sorry, but I would want just a second. You can tell him that we can do the interview some other day. It's okay. No problem. It's okay, but we can do it some other day also. Okay, we'll see, but like we'll see. So I actually got interrupted by ma'am because some other student also has an interview coming up. So I want you, Joseph, to repeat again, the point you talked about, that what kind of changes you'd like to bring in our democracy so that it's better for our country. Can you just quickly repeat the points regarding that?
Sir, I mentioned that we can have more awareness among the voters.
Awareness
That
about voters.
yes, because sir, I feel this is a very major change, because as long as we have
Don't
good
you think the
people.
government already has done this? Know your, know the people who are fighting elections from your place, about data about them and their background and this and that. So in what way you mean that more awareness? What kind of awareness, and how will you create that awareness?
Sir, even if it has been done, the data shows that there are more than 50% of legislators are criminal record. So it shows it would have failed in some or the other way. So we need to have better implementation. I currently don't know how they've done it. So we can have some
Where do
other
you
ways of
see
doing it.
yourself? Where do you see yourself
Uh,
20 years down the line?
Sir, I would like to have my own venture and try to solve a problem which creates an impact in the society in a long run.
Any
So,
particular industry or country, or like anything you have thought about, like where do you like anything
sir,
specific?
yeah, sir. I don't have any particular industry right now, but definitely in India, I just have one criteria that people say you have a startup just for startup's sake. I don't want that. I want to have something which actually delivers impact, which actually has some impact on the life of people. That would be a long-term goal for me in 20
Have
years.
you
And
seen
just
a Korean series called Startup on Netflix?
no, sir.
You haven't seen. Why did you leave physics? Even though I can make out from your CV that you liked physics, you are proficient in physics. Why don't you want to pursue studies in physics? Or maybe this is someone else's. No, this was someone else's point. Which is your favorite subject? And this includes from like childhood till now. Which has been your favorite subject?
So, sir, I recently took up game theory as a part of a curriculum at IIT, and I really enjoyed it a lot. It was very interesting. So the opportunity, so far we
As a subject, game theory is a topic. I mean,
so
as a
that was in,
subject.
sir, it was introduced as a subject to us. So if you look at so game theory is in a way part of behavioral economics, I guess. So I have been very interested in behavioral economics because what
What is the
happens
law
is,
of diminishing marginal utility?
uh, sir,
With respect to a product or service, if you can explain the law of diminishing marginal utility.
sir, I am not able to recall it correctly. I
I
have
think
gone
it's
through.
something very basic, very fundamental. Law of diminishing marginal utility of a product or service.
Yes. Yes, sir. So the marginal utility of any product, as soon as I think its demand increases, its utility decreases with each addition of one product. Like its its utility decreases. It's a downward uh, sloping curve, so it goes like that. That's what I recall. I'm not very sure about that.
It's like a glass of water. You are very thirsty. The first glass you will have, it will give you maximum satisfaction. The more glasses you will have, the satisfaction level will decrease. That is what is law of diminishing marginal utility. Okay, which has been your least favorite subject?
History.
History. Why history is very interesting, and especially nowadays in YouTube channels. If you look at these nice YouTube channels where they are using graphics and anime and nice your presentation, maybe the presentation is the reason why some people didn't like history in their school.
Yes, sir. So I actually kind of follow few history animation channels. That makes it a bit interesting. But the problem with history, I feel, is I want to quote Shaw here. He said that we learn from history, that we learn nothing from history. So what I feel the problem is the things which are being taught to us in our schools are not like I don't find them useful. I mean, I'm not interested in knowing what people vote. So I remember.
I agree with the history professors and history lecturers and history teachers with this statement of yours that we learn nothing from history, and why are we being taught those things? We have
Sir,
to. I'll give you a small example. The culture of a place has its roots in the history of the place. If you know the history of the place, you will know the culture of the place and you will behave accordingly. For example, if you talk about Japan, Japan is having less than 1.5% of immigrants. It's a very closed culture. They have their own culture. Their culture has strong roots in its history, basically. So if you don't understand that, and if you don't understand the history and the culture of Japan, it becomes very difficult for you to work there as an expatriate or do business there, because the business has to understand the local place, the culture of the local place, which is deep rooted in the history. That's the reason when we talk about laws, three things, there are three ways for a law to be, to come into effect. One is when the legislature will make a law, or when the Supreme Court judge will, give a judgment, and that judgment will be taken as a precedence, the law by precedence. And the third is customary law, which has been followed. For example, when you talk about, any animosity between two groups, whether religious groups or regional group or anything, everything goes back to the history. So how can you say history is not important?
Yes, sir. I mean, there are relevant aspects of history. Let's say, I remember used to study Harappan civilization. There was a chapter on that. So people used to praise the drainage system which they had in the great bath, I think, at Mohenjo-daro. But nowhere was it mentioned. People are studying how was it great, like the technology. So that's what made me kind of have that disdain
We
for
have
history.
limited exposure to findings from the Harappan culture. We can't decipher everything, which was happening there. So there are limitations because a lot of things they have degraded or, limited. Even if you look at the script, do you know the script which was followed? Still, it is not decoded. Nobody has been able to decode the language, the script which was used during the Harappan times, Mohenjo-daro times. It is so complicated even for the modern day, linguists. So fine. So one thing I observed very negative in you, that you are judgmental. If you don't like something, then you make a blanket statement that it is not useful for anyone. So you can be a dangerous CEO. Now I want to understand from you, what can you narrate some crisis management situations, or maybe one big crisis management situation, and how did you handle it, whether you succeeded or failed at it? One big crisis management situation.
Yes, sir. So yes, so we conducted as a part of entrepreneurship wing, we conducted our e-summit. I think it was in
As a
2022.
part of what?
Entrepreneurship wing at IIT Dharwad. So I'm currently the head of that wing. So we had an event. The problem was, since we are a third generation IIT, we just have around 500 students, 600 students, and we had an offline event. So the problem was to get people in for the event, because we have promised our sponsors and the people who are coming to the talk that we'll have a full auditorium. And but I don't know, people are not that interested. That was some issue in our part, I guess. We couldn't get out what was interesting for the audience. So we were struggling to fill the auditorium. So I tried my best, went to the hostels, personally called back people, and filled the auditorium in that regard.
What was the event at the auditorium about?
So we were conducting an event on, the hiring culture of the country. Like, there was two people from a startup which works in hiring domain. So they were telling people what, recruiters look for, and what currently is a scenario startup in our country, what the startup is looking for.
So you in your college, is there some department like in the placement committee? Is there some training department which is anyways imparting training to students in order to be job ready?
We have a career development cell. We definitely have it. They are doing that job. They're taking care of the placements and preparing students.
No, so isn't it this case that you are basically having a seminar on how to be job ready, interview ready, what skills are there, but there is already a department which is doing. Don't you think that how did
No, so it wasn't specifically about just how to be job ready. It was also about the startup culture of the country. What are the new types of startups in the country? What are the opportunities? That part,
these kind of jobs keep happening at your campus from startup side, and all different startups keep coming and giving gyan on startups and all?
No, not much.
Not. Then why the interest level was low? Was there not enough marketing promotion, teasers, pamphlets, leaflets, announcements, influencers? Did you use influencers? What all marketing strategy you used to popularize the event to increase the footfall?
So, sir, we popularized it on Instagram. We use social media. And being in the campus at the moment, we had, peer-to-peer marketing in a way. We were just having people.
You use the ancient method.
Yes, sir. And
That's the reason you have to use basically you have to basically use innovative contemporary strategies to increase footfall. So I think this is one reason why you need to do MBA, so that next time when you're doing an event, you have marketed in such a way that there are more people than the number of seats. That's where the marketing part becomes important. Product may be good, product may be
yes.
useful, but how you're doing the marketing communication, how much you're doing it in advance, what kind of a pull strategy you're using. Do you know what is the difference between a pull and push strategy in marketing and sales?
No, sir. I have no.
Which area in management are you having some idea about? Which function of management?
So I've done internships in the area of strategy and consulting and product
In the
management,
area of strategy, business strategy.
business strategy consulting.
What is a growth share matrix? Also known as
So,
the BCG matrix, Boston Consulting Group matrix, because it was developed by BCG. What is growth share matrix?
sir, I have no idea.
What is Michael Porter's 5 forces model?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Porter's 5 forces model are used for determining the competitive situation in a market. So we have 5 forces which are used to analyze the overall situation. So we have threat of new entry, threat of substitution, then overall competition in the market, then
Who is your which management guru do you follow or do you read when it comes to business strategy?
Sir, I have been reading 2 books recently. The Lean Starter by Eric Ries and Blue Ocean Shift by Eric Chan.
Have you heard of CK Prahlad?
No, sir.
No, again, a very popular name, Indian, and a very, very successful management guru. What value you would add to your PGP batch here?
So being from an engineering background, so this whole idea of analytical approach has been imbibed in me throughout my engineering. So I feel that analytical approach, handling data, numbers, and having that overall understanding of the situation, I think that would be something which I will really add.
But generally, it is said that maybe you will be good at numbers, but engineers lack empathy, because of which it is very difficult for them to connect with people, to the end consumers, to the employees. They lack on the soft skill front. They are stronger in IQ, but weaker in EQ. Do you agree with these statements?
No, not fully, sir. Not completely. There may be situations, but as I've experienced in my own college, I've seen people who are very confident and who are very, competent in having conversations and doing things which we feel, which I've also heard before entering IIT. People have that mindset, and that IITians are not that good at in that. But from personal experience, I don't feel it happens.
What are your weaknesses?
Sir, I lack some self-confidence, and I actually take some time to open up.
Why do you lack self-confidence?
So it may be a defense mechanism, I feel, and I feel based on past experiences, it takes some time to open up and trust someone. I guess that's one of the reasons.
How will you take timely decisions if suppose you lack confidence, especially when there is a crisis management situation?
So I'm working on that. And
how are you working on it?
So, sir, I've taken up leadership roles in our college. As I mentioned, I'm currently the head of the entrepreneurship wing. I started performing as well, and
what things you have done to improve placements in your institute?
Sir, I'm actually not the part of the placement cell in our college. So
entrepreneurship cell, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, entrepreneurship wing.
What all you have done to promote, the entrepreneurship culture in your center? Have you got some angel investors, interested in your campus, or have you done events to, promote, entrepreneurship, startup culture? Are students interested in your college to go for
Yes, sir.
entrepreneurship?
So we have actually, I think in my batch there are 2 startups which have been incorporated recently, and so as I mentioned, we have a very small footfall, 600 students. Now it's increasing. So as the number increases, there will be more interest. So as you asked me, what have I done so far? So events regarding that, we actually used to we created a newsletter series. So where we started, so we thought that people even don't know in our college what a startup is, what a difference between startup or business is. So we started on the basics of what a startup is and completed a journey of a product from startup, what a startup, difference between startup and a small business, what is MVP, what is market sizing, what is product market fit, and 2, 3 more topics like that. So we did that so that people are aware of this whole entrepreneurial journey, what is that. And we are conducting events, as I mentioned. E-Summit was conducted. So we have pitch deck competitions organized during that. And we also have talks. And apart from that, we recently have also started our incubator. So it's still in development. We have not contacted any angel investor, but hopefully maybe in the coming months, we will be starting the process of accepting applications.
With the
And
current friction between India and China on the border front, would you go for investment from China in our Indian startups? If big Chinese companies, venture capitalist firms, they want to invest in the startups here, would you allow it? Are you in favor of allowing it?
so I feel yes, sir. I feel it can be allowed as long as they are not, crossing. There's some data exchange or something which is sensitive to the country. It's being exchanged with them. If something like that happens, I don't think it should be allowed. But because right now I feel India is at a comparatively weaker position as compared to China in economy, and so we should take a passive approach in that regards, or tension with China. Try to strengthen ourselves and then take a bit aggressive approach in that regards. So having investment, it will definitely boost our.
They are already encroaching upon our borders. How can we wait?
So we have to passive in the sense it shouldn't be completely passive. Just let them. But
I hope you are aware that there are already encroachments being made.
yes, sir, I read about it.
Sometimes the government is accepting it, but then under pressure, they are also, going back on their statement. But the fact of the matter is that there is aggression happening on different points, border
Yes, sir.
points in our country. So, that. What kind of songs do you listen to? You have mentioned that you are fond of music. That's your
Yes,
hobby.
sir.
What, like,
Yes,
are
sir.
you a singer? Do you play an instrument, or you listen to music? What do you do?
Sir, I'm actually a singer, and the type of music which I listen, it's mostly currently I'm going through rock and pop punk music, and some sort of R&B.
Who are your
And
favorite artists?
sir, it changes. So currently I'm going. So I don't have a favorite artist as such. I have cycles.
Favorite artist, not one
Yes, sir.
artist. Of course, you'll be having like many people, bands,
Yes,
or
sir.
you'll be like.
So it's not like I don't think I have. I can't even classify someone as favorite artist. It's more of an album cycle for me. So I go through an album. I like it.
Currently, what kind of music are you enjoying?
So currently, I've been listening to an album by a British artist, Louis Tomlinson. It's called Faith in the Future, and it's more of an indie rock album, and it's been on repeat so far. Yes, that has been one of my
Apart
current.
from that, other
So
any other?
apart from that, based on a past listen, Spotify has created a rock mix and a pop punk mix and R&B mix. I just play those 3. So
Which, if
sometimes
I ask you, if I have to ask you this question, that top 5 rock bands
yes,
who have been big influencers,
yes, sir.
which will be your pick? What will be your pick? Top 5 rock bands across time, no timeline given, who have influenced, the music culture.
Sir, the Beatles, that would be first.
The Beatles.
The Beatles. Then we have Led Zeppelin, AC/DC, Oasis, and if I use someone from the modern era, what was it? Radiohead. So
On a a relaxed note, which version do you enjoy more of the song All Along the Watchtower? The original version, which has been sung by Bob Dylan, or the latter version, which was performed by Jimi Hendrix?
sir, I haven't heard this song, but as far as I remember, I don't like Bob Dylan's voice.
You
He's a
don't
great
like, you
song.
are again a very judgmental person, you will break the hearts of so many Bob Dylan fans.
So
Any
it's not
question
just
you would like to ask us?
what's that?
Any question you would like to ask us? And
No, sir.
you have to suppose, for example, your interviews IIM Lucknow, right? So
Yes, sir.
any question you would like to ask to IIM Lucknow panelists?
No, sir. I don't have anything.
Okay, so we'll end the interview. First mistake is you have to research on IIM Lucknow's website. You have to ask a question, because a question is not a question is an opportunity. As we saw in case of Gurpreet Tuteja, he was interested in the field of product management. So his question to the professor was, sir, what is the latest research which is happening in the field of product development in your institute, IIM Ahmedabad? So you have to research on the website. You have to find some points which are there, which you like or you can relate to, but you have to score a brownie when asked. Second is, you have got a good chance of selection. The problem is that you cannot be opinionated, you cannot be negative about anything, leave alone a subject like history or something else. You cannot say negative about. You have to be politically correct. You're going to be a business leader. Whatever you say will not only have an impact on you, it will have an impact on your company, the shareholders, the stakeholders, people at large. So you have to be politically correct. You cannot say ये खराब लगता है, ये अच्छा लगता है, ये बेकार है, कुछ भी ऐसा नहीं बोलना है. So वो हिस्ट्री के पॉइंट पे ही इंटरव्यू रुक सकता था. साथ में हिस्ट्री के अलावा अभी भी जैसे हम लोग डिस्कस कर रहे थे, तुमने बोला बॉब डिलन को पसंद नहीं करते हैं. जो पसंद करते हैं उसको बोलना है. तुम्हें बोलना था सर मुझे जिमी हेंड्रिक्स ज्यादा पसंद है या फिर जो भी, बट ये नहीं बोलना है कि बॉब डिलन नहीं पसंद है. इसके अलावा तुम्हारा इंटरव्यू ठीक जा रहा था. लखनऊ के लिए तो इतना काम करेगा, लेकिन क्या तुम्हारे एबीसी कॉल्स भी हैं?
हाँ सर, 3 है.
उसके लिए और फाइट मारना होगा. तो तुम्हें ये भी सोचना है कि जिस लेवल का इंस्टीट्यूट होगा उस लेवल का कंपटीशन होगा वहां पर. जो मे बी लखनऊ में काम करेगा, हो सकता है अहमदाबाद में नहीं काम करे. वहां आपको राइज एंड शाइन करना होगा. जो सेम मिस्टेक हम लोगों ने पिछले 4 कैंडिडेट्स में अभी देखा कि अपने जो स्ट्रॉन्ग पॉइंट्स हैं, आपके जो यूएसपीज हैं, उनको आप लिखिए कि हुजैफ है उसके 4 या 5 बड़े स्ट्रॉन्ग कोर पॉइंट्स क्या है. जैसे कंपनी बोलते हैं कि किसी भी कंपनी को अगर सक्सेसफुल होना है तो उसकी एक कोर कॉम्पिटेंसी होनी चाहिए. वो कोर कॉम्पिटेंसी का आप मैनेजमेंट में डेफिनेशन पढ़ोगे, कोर कॉम्पिटेंसी को चोरी नहीं कर सकता है. सो आपका कोर कॉम्पिटेंसीज क्या है, ये खुल के बात नहीं आया है. सिर्फ इतना बात आया है कि आप एक कूल कंपोज्ड आदमी हैं. आपसे कुछ भी पूछा जाता है तो आप सोच के उसका लॉजिकल आंसर्स देते हैं. जैसे आपसे हम लोगों ने पूछा कि अगर यूपी को हम लोग को एक फेवरेबल इन्वेस्टमेंट डेस्टिनेशन बनाना है तो क्या करना है, तो आपने सही बोला कि यूपी का लॉ एंड ऑर्डर का परसेप्शन लो है. जब मैंने आपसे पूछा कि आ रहा है कि मिस्टर योगी जो है ठोकने का जो राज है, इनकाउंटर राज है, उससे पूरा लॉ एंड ऑर्डर कंट्रोल किए हैं, तो आप बोले कि मुझे ग्राउंड रियलिटी में तो नहीं पता है, लेकिन हकीकत है कि परसेप्शन लो है और इस पे हमें काम करना पड़ेगा. तो ये सही था. टैक्स बेनिफिट्स, टैक्स ब्रेक्स की आपने बात की, जो कि बहुत अच्छी बात थी. यू वांट टू प्रमोट कंपनीज इन योर रीजन, यू हैव टू गिव देम फ्रीबीज एंड सब्सिडीज एंड टैक्स ब्रेक्स. उसमें लैकिंग क्या था, तुम्हें कुछ एग्जांपल्स देना चाहिए था. देखो, एवरी क्वेश्चन ना हुजैफ इज एन अपॉर्चुनिटी फॉर यू to showcase your general awareness or your strength or your skills or your achievement. So when you are asked about कि टैक्स बेनिफिट, तो आपको बताना था कि सर फॉर एग्जांपल ये कंट्री ने ऐसा किया तो वो इन्वेस्टमेंट अट्रैक्ट किया, ये कैसे कंट्री या सिटी इन्वेस्टमेंट हब बना. तो ये दिखा रहा है कि आपके पास इंफॉर्मेशन है, जनरल अवेयरनेस है. आप कोई भी कंपनी, आप दुबई का भी एग्जांपल ले सकते थे कि सर उनका 0% टैक्स के कारण देखिए उनका काफी मतलब फायदा हुआ. यू आर सपोज टू गिव एग्जांपल्स. हमेशा एग्जांपल्स देना है, दिखाने के लिए जनरल अवेयरनेस अच्छा है. उसके बाद आपने एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप का ई कल्चर प्रमोट करने के बारे में बात की, तो उसमें भी आपको बताना है कि कैसे कर सकते हैं, क्या कर सकते हैं. पॉइंट्स थे आपके पास उजैफ, इसलिए मैंने बोला कि मे बी एबीसी के लिए थोड़ा और फाइट मारना होगा, बिकॉज और फॉर्डर चाहिए होगा. पॉइंट्स हैं, लेकिन वो पॉइंट्स के अंदर आप वाव फैक्टर जो होता है ना अपने जनरल अवेयरनेस से, वो नहीं आप दिखा रहे हैं. फिर इसके अलावा जब हमने बात किया यूपी में और बिहार में क्या लोग हॉट हेडेड हैं, इसके कारण तुम बोल रहे हो लॉ एंड ऑर्डर सिचुएशन खराब लगता है, तो तुमने सही करप्ट लीडर्स के बारे में बात किया, करप्ट पॉलिटिशियन जो कि बेसिकली यूज किए हैं इनको पास्ट में एज अ मैकेनिज्म टू गेन पावर। तो हियर अगेन यू वर सपोज टू बेसिकली शो योर जनरल अवेयरनेस की अगर हम यूपी की बात करें, सो अ वेरी पॉपुलर वाज द गेस्ट हाउस इंसिडेंट which happened to Mayawati. I don't know whether you have read or you're aware about it, where you know BSP and SP were in joint coalition, and Mayawati was the chief minister, and then she was supposed to pass on her chief minister's position to Samajwadi Party because that was the deal, but she broke the deal. Then Samajwadi Party netas, they tried attacking her at the guest house, and it's a very popular incident actually. So politicians only have used violence, or they have broken law and order in order to be at par or to, तो अगेन दैट पार्ट वाज मिसिंग। फिर तुमसे हम लोगों ने बात किया था कि न्यूज़पेपर को हम लोग कैसे पॉपुलर बना सकते हैं आज के लोगों के, जो बच्चे हैं या स्कूल वाले हैं, कॉलेज वाले हैं। तो तुमने सही बोला, स्टार्टअप पे न्यूज़ करो, स्पोर्ट्स का कुछ और अच्छा लिखो, कुछ एक्साइटिंग लिखो। और एक एनआई भी होता है, आई डोंट नो वेदर यू नो न्यूज़पेपर इन एजुकेशन। सो फॉर एग्जांपल टाइम्स ऑफ इंडिया इज देयर, टाइम्स ऑफ इंडिया आपके घर में जा रहा है, लेकिन एक है न्यूज़पेपर इन एजुकेशन, वो अलग एजुकेशन है, वो स्कूल्स में जा रहा है। तो उसमें कवर हो रहा है कि स्कूल्स में क्या हो रहा है, इवेंट्स क्या हो रहे हैं, कौन क्या जीत रहा है। सो व्हेन दी किड्स सी दैट दे आर बीइंग, अभी क्या प्रॉब्लम है, न्यूज इज अबाउट मे बी दोज पीपल जो उनके एज ग्रुप से बाहर हैं, उनके समझ के बाहर हैं, उनके मतलब सर्कल के बाहर है, तो वो न्यूज से रिलेट नहीं कर पा रहे हैं। आप ज्यादा न्यूज, यही आप बोलना चाह रहे थे ना कि न्यूज वैसा हो जिससे रिलेट कर पाए, तो उसके बारे में और थोड़ा चर्चा करना चाहिए था। फिर आप लेस ऑन पॉलिटिक्स नहीं बोल सकते। ये हुजैफ तुम्हें मैं समझा रहा हूँ बहुत ही क्लियरली, तुम किसी भी चीज को नीचे नहीं दिखा सकते कि लेस ऑन पॉलिटिक्स या नो बॉब डिलन या नो हिस्ट्री, तुम्हें ये एकदम अवॉइड करना है। क्यों? हो सकता है इंटरव्यू पैनल में कोई बैठा हो जो लाइक करता हो इन चीजों को, और वो पूरी तरह से, जैसे मैंने बोला ना, लाइकेबिलिटी इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट in an interview. You need to be liked, so your likability will go down because वो पैनलिस्ट लाइक कर रहा है, तुम बोलो ये बेकार है या ये मजेदार नहीं है। बात समझ रहे हो मेरी? तो ये तुम्हें पूरी तरह से मतलब अवॉइड करना है। फिर मैंने तुम्हें जब पूछा कि तुम्हारा फेवरेट बैंड कौन सा है, या फिर 5 कौन से बैंड हैं जो तुम बताओगे सबसे इन्फ्लुएंस किए हैं, तो हमेशा जब भी कोई आप आंसर बताओगे, आपको रैशनल या रीजन या कुछ फैक्ट्स प्रेजेंट करना है। तो आपने बीटल्स का नाम लिया, तो आपको बताना है कि कैसे बीटल्स जो है मे बी गन्स एंड रोजेस। अब बीटल्स क्यों यहाँ आपने बोला, गन्स एंड रोजेस का नाम ही नहीं लिया, कुछ कारण होगा ना उसका, तो उसको आपको समझाना होगा। Interview is also an activity where, like a nerd, you are supposed to give facts to the interviewer. The more facts you will be giving, the more knowledge, basically, the more info you will be giving, the more points you will be getting. So when you're even talking about your favorite bands, do not hesitate in dropping those trivias, कि सर उनका ये था, उनका ये अच्छा लगा, इसका ये लगा, AC/DC का एनर्जी अच्छा लगता है स्टेज पे, तब you have to come up with something like that. So ये चीजें मिसिंग थी। फिर वोटर्स के बारे में हमने बात किया कि कैसे, अब डेमोक्रेसी की बात बहुत लंबी चली थी कि आपके तरफ पढ़े लिखे लोग तो कम है ना, आप तो वोट भी नहीं करते होगे। जो पढ़े लिखे लोग हैं, आप नेताओं से पूछोगे। एक बार मैं my brother, he was handling basically he's into digital marketing, so he also was handling the digital marketing campaign of Samajwadi Party, not now but when they won the elections in Uttar Pradesh, Umeed ki cycle, that was his campaign. So I was talking to one of their political strategists, and he told me that people like me and you are irrelevant. People like Huzaif and Ashish Sinha, they're irrelevant when it comes to politics and elections, because people like you and me generally don't vote. You're getting the point. Generally don't vote. It's basically most of the Aam Aadmi, the common man, who is voting. So we had discussions on that. In that also, like you talked about awareness among voters, but I want your points to be more structured. कैसे awareness promote करेंगे voters? क्या facts खाली वो तो रहता ही है ना, उनका वेबसाइट्स पे जाओगे इलेक्शन कमीशन के, तो दिख ही जाएगा कि इसके पास कितना एसेट है, क्या ये है, क्या क्रिमिनल, बट कैसे करेंगे, हाउ द कनेक्ट विल डू, तो उस पर थोड़ा तुम्हें सोचना होगा, हाउ टू गो अबाउट इट। इसके अलावा मुझे लगता है द गुड थिंग दैट कैन वर्क इन योर फेवर इज दैट यू हैव बीन स्माइलिंग एंड यू हैव बीन रिलैक्स्ड थ्रू आउट द इंटरव्यू। आई थिंक वी नीड जस्ट more information, more structured information, and also अगर अभी मैं पूछूं, तो इंटरव्यू खत्म हो गया हो जाए, तुम्हारे 3 स्ट्रॉन्गेस्ट पॉइंट्स क्या हैं? If suppose you have to be selected in your IIM Lucknow, कब है, when is your IIM Lucknow interview? Joseph is not able to unmute. Some issue again.
Sir, am I audible?
Yes, you're audible. So if suppose 3 चीजें, क्या strongest क्या है तुम्हारे candidature में?
Sir, firstly, I have past experiences of management role through my internships. That's my strongest point. One. Secondly, I'm very determined, personal quality in that regards. And thirdly, I'm very passionate. So this management role and something which I'm very passionate about, and it has been thought for a very long time. I took
Second,
around,
तुमने क्या बोला है?
sir, this determined. I'm very
Determined.
determined.
तो
Yes,
देखो,
yes.
ये तुम्हारी कोर कॉम्पिटेंसी जो है वीक प्रूव हो जाएंगी। क्यों वीक प्रूव हो जाएंगी? तुम्हें समझना है कि इंटरव्यू है वो एक प्रैक्टिकल, मतलब इंटरव्यू में सिलेक्शन बहुत ही प्रैक्टिकल ऑब्जेक्टिव प्रोसेस है। बेसिकली वो बहुत लोगों के इंटरव्यू ले रहे हैं और कुछ लोगों को ही सेलेक्ट करने वाले हैं, समझ रहे हो? तो जैसे तुम अगर अपने 3 कोर कॉम्पिटेंसीज में पहले बोल रहे हो कि तुम्हारे पास मैनेजमेंट एक्सपीरियंस एक्सपोजर है बिकॉज ऑफ योर इंटर्नशिप, बट वहां कितने लोग इंटरव्यू दे रहे होंगे जिनका वर्क एक्सपीरियंस होगा, तो उनको तो ज्यादा, तुमसे ज्यादा मैनेजमेंट एक्सपोजर है, तो वहां वो तुम बीट हो जाओगे, वो आगे चले जाएंगे। फिर तुमने जो सेकंड और थर्ड पॉइंट बोला, डिटरमाइंड और पैशनेट, ये बहुत ही जेनरिक चीज है, ये नहीं बोल सकते तुम। मतलब ये एक तो मेजरेबल नहीं होता है। किसी का पैशन कैसे मेजर करोगे? थोड़ी कोई इंस्ट्रूमेंट है किसी का पैशन मेजर करने के लिए, तो वो मेजर नहीं कर सकते इंटरव्यू में, तो ये पॉइंट खाली चला जाएगा। आप अगर हार्ड वर्किंग भी बहुत, कितने लोग, मुझे याद है देयर इज वन शो नोन एज दैट 70s शो, पुराना शो है, बेसिकली कॉमेडी है ये, और उसमें एक आदमी जॉब अपना खो जाता है और फिर वो अप्लाई करता है इंटरव्यू के लिए। तो वो इंटरव्यू के लिए जाता है, बोलता है अपनी वाइफ को दैट आज मैं जा रहा हूँ इंटरव्यू के लिए। तो उसकी वाइफ पूछती है क्या बोलोगे इंटरव्यू में? बोलो यही कि मैं हार्ड वर्किंग हूँ, पैशनेट हूँ, इतना ये हूँ। वो वहां जाता है, फिर अब उसके अपने दोस्त उसके जाता है वहां पर, देखता है उसको भी है सारे, वो भी उतने नहीं आए। तो सबसे पूछता है क्या बोलने वाले हो? सब यही बोलते हैं कि सर हम लोग हार्ड वर्किंग है, हम लोग पैशनेट है, हम लोग ये है। कोर को हमेशा याद रखना है इस बात को, इफ यू वांट टू गेट सेलेक्टेड, you have to discuss your core competencies. Core competencies are very personal things related to your candidature, to your experiences, to your incidents. It cannot be copied, it cannot be compared even sometimes to someone else, because they are your core competencies. So you need to work on your core competencies. They need to be very streamlined, very pointed, which you can even explain with the help of examples. So yes, you can even explain hard working. Maybe अगर हम पूछे कि you said you are hard working, तो कोई मेरे को एग्जाम्पल दो पहले कि तुम हार्ड वर्किंग हो।
Sir, determined, I had an example.
डिटरमिन बताओ, डिटरमिन में कैसे, एक एग्जाम्पल दो।
So, sir, like during my second JEE attempt, I was diagnosed with typhoid. So it seemed that I may not be able to appear for the exam, but somehow I was like, with that determination of mind, I somehow pushed through that 8 hours and qualified that exam. So that was one reason.
You can talk about it. You can say that sir, ये बेसिकली 3 चीजें इसमें आ गई। एक तो डिटर्मिनेशन आ गई, दूसरा एंड्योरेंस आ गया। आदमी का जब तबीयत खराब होता है और उसको पढ़ना है, कुछ करना है, प्रेजेंटेशन भी देना है, तो तन्मय एक सवाल पूछ रहा है, सर आर कोर कॉम्पिटेंसीज एंड स्ट्रेंथ्स द सेम? यस, दे आर द सेम, they are the same. Your strengths are your core competencies, but generally इसीलिए it is a very personal thing, किसी का कॉपी नहीं करना है। Coming back to Huzaif here now, we were talking about, he's saying he's determined. एक तो डिटर्मिनेशन आ रहा है, एक एंड्योरेंस आ रहा है। एंड्योरेंस का मतलब तुम लोग समझते हो क्या होता है? कि बहुत पेन है, बहुत परेशानी है, लेकिन तुम उसको सफर कर रहे हो और तब भी अपना बेस्ट देने की कोशिश करो, तो एंड्योरेंस आ जाता है। और तीसरा है परसिवियरेंस, परसिवियरेंस भी आ जाता है ना, बिकॉज परसिवियर कर रहे हो तुम, तो ये तुम बोल सकते हो, यू कैन डेफिनेटली। बट और भी देखो कोई कोर कॉम्पिटेंसीज है, कुछ कोर कॉम्पिटेंसीज होने, देखो हर चीज को ना डाइवर्सिफाई हमेशा रखना है, डाइवर्सिफाई करके। फॉर एग्जाम्पल आप बोल रहे हैं पैशन के बारे में या डिटर्मिनेशन के बारे में या परसिवियरेंस के बारे में या एंड्योरेंस के बारे में, तो ये पर्सनैलिटी ट्रेट का आ गया हिस्सा। तो आप कोर कॉम्पिटिशन में एक, चलो एक हम पर्सनैलिटी ट्रेट का दे दिए, फिर एक आप स्किल का दो, कोई स्किल है अगर आप में, तो कोई टैलेंट है आप में, फिर एक कोई एकेडमिक अगर स्ट्रॉन्ग कनेक्ट एमबीए से बन गया तो उसका आप दे दो। मतलब इट हैज टू बी स्प्रेड अक्रॉस, इट कैन नॉट बी जस्ट कि पर्सनैलिटी ट्रेट्स पे ही कोर कॉम्पिटेंसीज या स्ट्रेंथ्स बता रहे हैं या इस पे ही। पैनलिस्ट को, इंटरव्यूअर को जितना होलसम पर्सनैलिटी, मल्टीफेसेटेड पर्सनैलिटी, मल्टीटास्किंग इंडिविजुअल दिखेगा, उतना उसका चांस ऑफ सिलेक्शन हायर होगा. जैसे मैंने बोला, जितने पॉइंट्स उतने मार्क्स आपको मिलेंगे. बट यू हैव गॉट अ गुड selection. Work on these things. Final advice before your IIM Lucknow interview, which is when? Which is in the next 3-4 days, 4-5 days, right?
23rd.
23rd is, please negative कुछ मत बोल देना.
Yes, sir. So instead of making something look bad, I should make the other thing look better. That's what I should do.
I'll give you an example how to answer. So अगर आपको बोलना था history is your least favorite subject, तो आप बोलो sir, probably history was my least favorite subject in the sense that we had to mug up and we had to basically, so I saw my friends also mugging up guides and all, and exactly writing things verbatim there. So I was not very good at the mugging art. So probably history was something in which I was not able to score. तो इस तरह से put कर दिया, ना कि बोल के कि history नहीं पसंद है, history से क्या ही सीखते हैं, कुछ नहीं सीखते हैं, और क्यों ही पढ़ा रहे हैं स्कूल में. नो फिलोसोफाइजिंग, नो सरमनाइजिंग. कुछ बच्चों के मैं आंसर पूछता हूँ, देखता हूँ, चालू कर रहे हैं एक फ्लारी कोट से. क्यों भाई, प्रेसिडेंट के इलेक्शन के लिए खड़े हुए हैं आप क्या वहां पर? A lot of times I'm checking your answers and I'm seeing that you are trying to talk about some lofty ideal. होता है ना, मतलब कुछ स्वामी विवेकानंद का कोट दिया हुआ है और फिर बोल रहा है मैं लाइफ टाइम जब से पैदा लिया हूं इसी को फॉलो कर रहा हूं. अगर आप सच में फॉलो कर रहे होते तो आप अभी डेमीगॉड बन गए होते. सो प्लीज डोंट अपने आप को लॉफ्टी मत दिखाओ. अपना लॉफ्टी जो स्टेटमेंट्स है, कोट्स है, उसको अपने पास रखो. इट मे हैव द रॉन्ग, इट मे रब ऑफ द इंटरव्यूअर्स इन द रॉन्ग वे. बच्चे हो, बच्चे की तरह बात करना है, अपने पॉइंट्स को पेश करना है, अपने स्ट्रेंथ्स को, अपने स्किल्स को, अपने अचीवमेंट्स को, अपने कोर कॉम्पिटेंसीज को, अपना राइट रीजंस फॉर एमबीए को, प्लस दिमाग चलते रहना चाहिए. कोई भी क्वेश्चन पूछता है सोच के जवाब देना है. जैसे कुछ आंसर जिसके सही थे लेकिन और उसके बारे में नहीं एक्सप्लेन किया, इन्फो दिया. प्लस गुरप्रीत टुटेजा का भी आंसरिंग सही था, सोच के समझ के पॉइंट वाइज अपना बता रहा था. सो ऑल द बेस्ट. All the best to that. All the best. Hope you. I'm sure you will crack IIM Lucknow. और ABC के लिए थोड़ा अपना और fight मारना तुम चालू करो. Now I think before the next, for the last interview, do we have Srajal? Is Srajal there? Is Srajal there? I think it's his. We have to unmute him. Is he saying that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you are there, but like I can't see you. You have to switch on your video and audio. Yes, Srajal is there. So session has been going from 6 o'clock. It has been 3 hours now. So we will just Srajal take a 2-minute break. So
Sure.
that maybe students can take a liquid break or whatever. And students are supposed to remain glued. I know that it has been 3 hours of non-stop interviews now. This will be the last interview for today. In every interview, you learn something. Maybe 1 or 2 points which you can relate to. So don't miss this chance. 1 minute ka break lo. What is the level of CAP interviews? Is it the same as today or slightly easier? थोड़ा easier रहेगा. देखो जैसे इंस्टीट्यूट्स ऊपर जाएगा उसका लेवल ऑफ डिफिकल्टी बढ़ता जाएगा. कैसे? वो नॉलेज टेस्टिंग में जाता जाएगा. यू नीड टू. सो नीचे के इंटरव्यूज क्या होते हैं बच्चों, कि नीचे के इंटरव्यूज तुम जाओगे तो सूट पहन लो, थोड़ा इंग्लिश में बात कर लो, अपना थोड़ा प्रेजेंटेशन सही कर लो, तो तुम्हारा काम बन जाता है. But as institutes ऊपर जाने लगते हैं, you start going to the top-notch institutes, they are looking at how much information, how much knowledge you have. So from basically a personality-based interview, slightly it starts tilting towards knowledge-based interview. So this is how basically it goes up. हम लोग आंसर करेंगे. आयुष जस्ट मुझे भी 2-3 मिनट दो. मैं 3 घंटे से मतलब इंटरव्यू ले रहा हूँ. जाके थोड़ा रिलैक्स करूँ, 1-2 मिनट पानी वानी पीऊं. Srajal, just give us 2 minutes, we'll be back. Others also take a 1-2 minute break. Okay, welcome guys. We are back. Everyone needs to get used to working, whether it is work front or academic front or interview preparation front, for at least 16-17 hours, because that's the first exposure that some of you, because some of you might have already got exposed to that kind of rigor, but some of you who are not used to that kind of rigor needs to wake up and needs to really like maybe sleep 5-6 hours and like prepare a lot, because GWPI preparation is like an ocean. It's not like CAT that it is too structured. For example, general awareness, it cannot be too structured also. What I'm recommending is that don't prepare on too many topics from the same area. So if use the PESEL framework, political, economic, social, technological, legal, environmental, एक टॉपिक पॉलिटिक्स से कि आज एक लीगल से भी कर लिया, एक इकोनॉमिक से भी कर लिया, मतलब बैलेंस करके चलना है, so that when you are asked to speak on a topic, whether in an interview or in a WAT or AWT, you have points from various areas and which will definitely give you that edge. I told you, like in interview also, there has to be a wow factor to increase your score. जो 6, 7 है वो 8 अगर पहुंचना है या 9 पहुंचना है, तो wow factor is very, very important. Now, without any further delay, they want to start. Sajal, my voice is clear to you? I think we need to unmute.
Yeah.
Yes, your
Yes,
voice.
it's clear.
You are hydrated, you have water and all, you are feeling okay. We can start the
Yes.
interview.
And I just wanted to say sorry, sir. I was not able to join at 7:50.
No issues. I can understand people are working. Work commitment is the most important thing. If you have what is the biggest thing that people expect from people who are having work experience, and if you're able to show this in the interview, you will be selected for sure. That is taking responsibility for one's work. So if you have understood, वही होता है ना, बच्चे में और बड़े में क्या फर्क है. बच्चा थोड़ा बहुत irresponsible रहेगा, बड़े ने अगर कोई काम लिया है या प्रोजेक्ट लिया है, तो मतलब he has taken full responsibility or she has taken full responsibility till completion. तो मैनेजमेंट का यही मतलब होता है कि कोई भी काम है उसको शुरुआत से अंत तक देखना है, अच्छे से देखना है. So now we'll start the interview. Okay, so Sajal, my first question to you is, looking at your work experience so far, wouldn't a BA, a specialization in BA, like how IIM Bangalore is offering, PGDM in BA, is the course you should go for and not a full-time MBA?
Okay, so I would like to answer this question from the perspective that why I chose to do the MBA in the first place. So, like from a work experience standpoint, so this particular job allows me to interact with the client on the daily basis. So I'm working with a US-based healthcare client, and we are like creating a financial reporting structure for them. And like on the daily basis, I'm interacting with the client for their needs. But on like from a daily interactions, I realized that from business standpoint, there's not only this particular technical execution is there. So from clients' decision standpoint, they have to consider a lot of things, be it their finances, their marketing spends. So we are tracking a lot of things, and from there I understand like there are more to business than just this technical execution. So
you more interested in managing the clients than building a product?
Sure. Yes.
You think you're more interested in managing clients in the market side than building the product?
No. So what I think is, to build a product, we first have to understand the client's need. Right? So I want to gain that holistic perspective.
I just want to understand your DNA. What percentage of Srajal is technical? What percentage is managerial, and like short term and long term? What is this ratio going to like change, and how? Like, I want to understand it.
Okay, so I recently switched to this particular industry, data analytics. So I recently joined this company like 6 months back only. So currently I'm more into execution, but definitely in future I want to like work in a managerial. That's like high priority. I want being more decision like impacting.
What works for you as a technical boy and what does not work for you as a technical boy? I want to understand the pros and cons, because you want a departure from being 100% technical or 80% technical profile, and you want to make the shift to the managerial profile. So I want to understand that what is the reason for this shift, which you have already explained to an extent by talking about your work profile. But what did you like about your technical background, and what do you think are not dislikes, but what constrains you?
Okay. So most of the time, like I spent most of my time in the execution part itself. So in my current project, as of now, like I'm working on integrating 9 different systems into one common reporting structure. So most of my time usually went in validating the data and like integrating, like if we are able to integrate it into a common structure or not. So I only get like 30 or 40-minute interaction with the client where I get to know the business know-hows, what they want from that particular reports and from our team as such. So that is something which is more intriguing to me than just like mindlessly going through the data itself. So what we can take from that data, what insights comes out from data, that is something which interests me more than just working on
Have
data.
you heard of 4 Ps in marketing? 4 Ps.
Yes.
What is 4 Ps?
So 4 Ps is something in marketing term is something which is needed in all the product to be successful, a commercial
Can you
success.
first tell me what are the 4 Ps? There are 4 Ps. What are those 4 Ps?
Okay, so 4 things are: first is product, then place, price, and promotion.
And what is the impact of each of these parameters in the success of an organization? And is it possible to assign an order to them or a weightage to them?
Okay, so the impact is obviously very huge, because if an organization is able to cater the need of the customer and able to uh, correctly work on all the 4 Ps, I think the product will definitely be a successful product in the market. And if I have to assign the weightage, I would say product will always come on top, because that is something which is like, first we need to gauge like what the customer need is, and then only we can come out with a product. So the product should be in line with the market needs and consumer needs, then only it can be successful. Then second thing I would say is price. So if like first we have to decide which particular segment of market we wanted to target, and we have to like assign like decide on our prices
Again,
accordingly.
place coming before price, because upon the place also the pricing will differ
Yeah.
place to place. So which will come first, price or place?
Again, I would say for me, though, I think price only, uh, because in
Because the
terms of
quality of the product, the pricing
yes,
also has to do with the quality of the product. So if I give you a situation where by uh, maybe reducing the price of your product, you will have a slight dip in the quality of the product or service, but your sales would go up. Would you go for this strategy?
I would say totally depends on company's positioning. If they are one of the high quality serving brand, uh, one of a premium brand with
I think
high quality,
positioning is important. What is the positioning of the company?
yes.
Okay. And then place and promotion. So do you think when a person starts his or her business, because I was reading your SOP and you have written that you are very influenced by your father and uncle and members of your family who are successful in business in the respective town. Now, I want to understand from you practically, when it comes to ground reality, when business is happening, are 4 Ps or growth share matrix or Michael Porter's 4-5 courses model, are these things actually used, or this is just in our books? And yeah, you should be honest, try to be as honest as possible.
So like I can say from one of my experience itself, I think this is something which is very important. So like it totally depends on business from what we are serving. So I can take an example of my experience itself. So in the lockdown, during the lockdown, so I come from a joint family, and a joint family of 20 people, and we are like running 3 or 4 businesses. And I come from a place where most of the revenue is from tourism. So during the lockdown, only one source of income which our family has is one of our kirana shop. So we decided to start a new business, a side business, which we can run like with while
business?
yeah. So I started a food packaging business with my brother. So we identified that customer mostly trust packaged food more than the open products. So and we checked like customer will definitely and is ready to pay 5 or 10 rupees extra per kg packet basically of a product. So what we did is we started a packaging business. We employed 4 or 5 people from our locality, and we bought a like food sealing machine, and we ordered some like packaging material with our branding on it, and we like took some licensing food packaging license on it. So we started this food packaging business, and we started the distribution from like it was kind of a small B2B business. We started placing our product in all the small stores, and eventually like we
You were
reached
selling your
nearby.
own product, or you were packaging others' products?
So these are grains and pulses. These products are there. So it was our own branded product, and we even reached in the nearby.
Where were you buying the produce from?
So it's from a nearby city, which is Bhopal. So buying the product from there. So we already run a kirana store, so we have those contacts.
You have some exposure to the agrarian part of our country as well? Like you don't have. Have you heard of something known as Reuters Market Light? Reuters Market Light is a service by which the farmers come to know about the latest prices of food grains, mandi prices, weather forecast, information about fertilizers, and those kind of things. So, like, when we talk about the farmer strike, which was in the news for such a long, what is your stand?
So the farmer strike happened because of the 3 bills actually, not laws, which our government proposed, and it was supposed to launch in that year itself. So I think like I'm not I would say the laws were good, but our farmers was not ready at that time for those laws. Like they were pretty advanced for a farmer at that time. So I would say that the laws were good, but first we need to educate our farmers to properly utilize those laws. Otherwise, they might the big corporation might end up exploiting them.
Why was the strike limited to few pockets in the country?
I think most of the agriculture comes from those areas. That's why.
Are you sure?
According
Are
to
you
my
sure? Do you know the food grain production of states like Telangana and Andhra and Tamil Nadu? Or it is just a guess?
it's a guess.
It's a guess. Okay. Now, I want you to tell me the reason why I should not select you. It's a tricky question, but this is what we would like to know. Can you tell us the reason why not to select you?
To be honest, I'm not prepared for anything like this. But
you can take your time.
Yeah.
We wouldn't let you get out of this question or excuse you out of this question. You have to think.
So, like, I can talk about my weakness.
What is your weakness?
So, professionally, I would say that I'm not good at saying no, and I would say like I'm not good at delegating.
Why? Why are you not good at saying no? Are you scared, or are you scared of hurting the other person's feeling, or are you scared?
Actually, if I'm interested in the task or I'm aware of the overall context, I usually don't say no to that task. But eventually, at an overall level, sometimes.
What if you don't have time? If you don't
Yeah.
have time, you have your own engagements.
Yeah. So sometimes it end up like I end up not achieving my deadlines. And if I try to push myself to achieve those deadlines, sometimes my productivity is low and like the overall quality of the like work gets impacted.
If we ask you, which has been your most significant achievement so far in your life, and you can't say getting 100 percentile in CAT this time, what would be that most significant achievement? And how did you achieve it?
Okay, so I think I would say during the lockdown itself, so in my area, a lot of students were struggling with their education since so I come from a hill station and the digital infrastructure is not very robust there. So they were struggling with their online education, and some particular like students in our area do not even have mobile access. So I decided to teach maths to them, and for one whole year I like took daily classes, 2 hour classes for them every day, and some of them even ended up attaining scores which they never got. So like they got a higher score than their usual scores. So I think I would consider it as one of my best achievements.
Did you take any inspiration from Salman Khan?
No.
No. Have you seen his videos? No. We're here talking about Salman Khan, the big educator. Okay, so you're not aware basically because you were teaching, so I thought maybe you know about him. He is actually more popular abroad than Salman Khan, the actor.
Yeah, I think the like founder of Khan Academy.
Yes. Not again a new fake, Khan professor who keeps coming in YouTube and all. This you're talking about the US-based person. So, okay, why did you select maths? Were you good at it or do you like it? What is the reason that maths is what you taught? It's simple, it's easy. You don't get into controversy or cross examination or something like that.
No, I think this is one of the subject which I understand the most and I like. And I think this was a subject which I think I can do like more justice when teaching. Like I can explain it better. I can add some elements to make it more understandable, I would say. So yeah, that's why I chose maths.
Nowadays, the news is coming quite often where, it's like a story promotion that how once the ozone layer was depleted and now again, things have improved a lot. So should we actually be happy about this fact or should we not focus on this fact and look at what are the environmental disasters that we are heading towards? Like, I want to understand, what is happening right now. What is your take on the environmental front, environmental protection front?
Okay, so I would say that definitely like environmental crisis is there owing to like a lot of infrastructure development and industry growth which is going on as of now, and I think Paris Climate Agreement where like all the most of
stop the industrial growth. Like our country needs the industrial growth. People are advising our country this is the time to jump into the fray against China and try to snatch manufacturing title from them. So like what should we do if you're saying that industrial pollution and these things? What should we do as a country? Should we strike a balance or should we first try to protect our country from an attack, direct or indirect, by China by trying to boost our economy or environment? What should be the priority of?
Definitely we have to strike the balance between the two. I would say like we cannot directly start imposing laws to protect the environment, like not very harsh laws. I think we can come up with the laws to gradually move to more environmental friendly fuels or something, like because most of our industry as of now are working on coal and on the fossil fuels. So I would say we cannot directly shift to a different fuel because our machineries and everything, like our infrastructure is not ready for it. So
how the Scandinavian countries have been so successful when it comes to these alternate, energy sources? Like, as you
I'm
said,
not
in our country, the fossil fuel, consumption is very high. But when you look at the Scandinavian countries, Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Finland, and all, the story is quite opposite. It's the EVs are more than the, diesel petrol vehicles. What do you think are the reasons they were able to do this?
I think like I'm not actually aware of it, but if I have to take an estimated guess, and then I can get.
You're not aware basically of this. Uh, you would have read in news maybe today or yesterday that Greta Thunberg was arrested, like literally being carried, off by police officials in Germany. What was the reason?
I'm not aware.
Do you know this name, Greta Thunberg? Greta,
Yes.
Which field is she related to?
She's a young environmentalist.
She is a young environmentalist, or you can say environment activist. Basically, that is what is
Yes.
activism. So, if suppose you were given more courage to become a revolutionary or to become an activist, what cause you would have taken up?
I would say healthcare.
Healthcare. Is it because you're currently working, or you have a client who is into healthcare, and you have more knowledge about it, so you can talk about it?
No, definitely it gave me more insight about the healthcare industry as a
5 years.
whole.
If we take you 5 years ago,
Okay.
then what would have been the answer?
5 years ago, I would say providing education.
Education.
Yes.
You think through education you can hit the jackpot?
Yes.
Can you name a neighboring country which hit the jackpot through education? Not exactly neighboring also, if it is a little far also, but some country close to us, not that far, which due to its focus on education was able to, become like one of the most envied nations across the globe.
I'm not.
Singapore, actually. Singapore is
Okay.
the education levels of Singapore is right there at the top in the world. Why should we select you? Can you tell us 2 or 3 points? Not a lot of explanation, just 2, 3 points. Why should we select you?
So first, I would like to talk about my qualities. So first, I would say my strength is perseverance. So anytime I face a situation, I usually don't back from it. Be it my exam attempts or be it my projects in my company. So I usually endure through those situations and try to achieve the desired output. The second, I would say, again, is adaptability. So since my ninth class, I'm moving from places to places for my education. And even
Can you name the places?
so for my schooling, I went to Kota. Then for my college education, I moved to Surat. Then my first job experience was in
Yesterday, I read a very disturbing news that a student was either murdered or committed suicide at IIM Ranchi. And, in Kota and a lot of other top engineering institutes, sometimes we keep hearing of these things. Have you ever faced such a low in your life in career where, you have not exactly even if contemplated suicide, but lost hope and were very like, in a down phase? Have you seen a down phase in your life is my question. What was it about? How did you get out of it?
I would say, fortunately, my parents and family is very supportive. And even at my lows, like I never got to this point, like to my mental low, that something like this would even come up in my mind. But yeah, so one of the thing, if I would like to say is
You say you have been very protected. You have lived a very protected life.
not protective, but I would say that they were always there with me. Like the motivation was always there. Not say it's protective.
Motivation was
but
always there. Okay. So you're talking about why should we select you? So you talked about perseverance. And the second point was
adaptability.
adaptability. So in terms of places, Kota and which all other places?
Surat, then Vapi, it's near Mumbai, and then currently I'm in Hyderabad.
Okay. So you haven't been to South India?
No, this is first time, like even close to South India.
First time. But do you think you will be, if we send you to maybe Chennai, do you think you'll be able to adapt there as well?
Yes, definitely.
What do you think if suppose someone like you goes to Chennai, can you tell me what will be the 3 things which you will do which can help you in maybe, adaptability in Chennai?
So basically, I would say that interacting with local people, if you are able to do it, like for your day-to-day task or day-to-day
Local
need.
people won't understand your language.
Yeah.
In Chennai, you can't assume everyone will be knowing English. So, and you won't be knowing Tamil. So in
Yeah.
adaptability, maybe I was expecting that first you will try to learn the language to an extent. Maybe that will be an icebreaker. Okay, so first you said local people. Then second, below interactions with local people.
Second, I would say food, that you should be accustomed to having different cuisines. It should
That
not be
might be
something.
quite a different, palette altogether. Tamil food, you
Yeah.
need.
Yes.
So, okay, fine. And third?
Third, I would say from state perspective, so I don't have any point. But from workplace perspective, I would say that you should be adaptable to work in different streams and under different people.
Okay, I thought maybe you say culture, trying to understand the culture. They all will have like, for example, if you're in Tamil Nadu, if you're in Chennai, then Rajnikant will be a part of the culture. The culture, some things will be basically a part of the culture. If suppose you're not selected, and suppose MBA, you have to not select MBA. Any alternate career path altogether, like not MBA, any alternate career path that would suit your skills or your strengths or your achievements?
So if I'm not going to do any formal course in management, I would definitely, like, my long-term goal is to be at a managerial position or leading an organization itself. So definitely.
Why you want to lead an organization? Why you can't be just a soldier? Why you have to be a general?
I think like I want to experience that thing. I think I want to be at that position where my decision matters the most.
Why do you want your decisions to matter?
So like I would say it will be a part of natural progression. Like right now I'm working.
Progression, you need not be on the top. Maybe even if you're progressing and somewhere you're in the middle, you have progressed. I want to understand why you want to be at the top.
I would say if I'm going to devote my 20 or 30 years in something, I would definitely want to be at top or at the end of that period.
Okay. You have calls from ABC?
Yes.
So suppose if this is an IIM Ahmedabad interview, any question for the panelists at IIM Ahmedabad?
Okay, like I want to mention this before, like I've not prepared anything as such for like college specific, but I would say like I'm pretty sure that this is something.
Because you haven't prepared, you won't be able to answer to questions like founding father of IIM Ahmedabad, which year it got established, what's the motto, who are the famous alumni. These things you are not prepared right now, right?
Yes.
But you need to, like, these things are very, very important. So the interview is over. Good job. I think there are a lot of strength, a lot of things which will work in your favor, and some things that need to improve. One thing that is obvious that needs to improve, Rajal, is that you need to start consuming general awareness, because even though Ahmedabad, Bangalore, Calcutta interviews have not started, but the new IIMs like IIM Rohtak interviews and all have started. Sometimes it is happening that the person is going and only general awareness questions are being asked and the interview is over. So in this type of interview, the person is shocked if he or she is not well prepared on general awareness. So start consuming general awareness. Use the PESTLE framework, PESTLE. I keep telling everyone, P is political, E is economic, S is social, because our country or your city or your state will be important from all these perspective in today's time. So even when we talk about technology, fourth industrial revolution, AI, machine learning, IoT, augmented reality, what is happening, you need to have a good grip whether you are interested or not. So you need to do a lot of study in terms of general awareness. 6-7 sessions which Milan sir has taken on general awareness. I will just telegram it to you. If you get time, you go through them. But those students who are severely stressed for time because they have to prepare for PI answers at the same time, AWT, WAT, and general awareness, and a little bit of college as well. So if suppose someone is having 0 to 2 years of experience, so they have this thing to manage a little bit of college studies also, the important subject, the important tables, the important things like that. So I was also having this plan today that I'll ask you one question from HR, one from marketing, one from operations, one from systems, one from finance, but very, very basic ones, to see whether you're even aware of management studies. क्या पढ़ाते हैं, क्या है, मतलब what is it? So it could have been maybe what is Maslow hierarchy from OB, organizational behavior from HR, or some other question. Like that's the reason I asked you about 4 Ps, because so this is also possible. So some basic, not very in depth, some basic idea about the subjects which are taught there needs to be there. What is the subject about? That's it. Don't need to go further. What are the important things? Then apart from that, I think in terms of answering, if we look at answering, you were going in the right direction about the product, price, place, promotion, and you talked about positioning, which was very, very good. That meant that you're understanding to an extent what you're talking about, because a lot of students will try to mug up and try to use these words. So with the usage of the positioning part, you're able to place it well in the mind of the panelists, that you know what you're talking about. So this was good. And then we talked about other things as well, somewhere more brightness in terms of like the content was expected about when you go to a city, how will you try to, increase your adaptability and start living comfortably there, because most of you guys won't be in your hometown after MBA, or even like in the first year you'll be going for the student exchange program abroad. So like you need to be adaptable, and you need to understand that they don't understand what we understand, because in their country they are understanding some other things. So when you're going to that country, that's the reason in HR an entire subject is known as expatriate management. Expatriate, as you may be understanding, going abroad working, management, expatriate management. It's a subject, and the HR people are supposed to train, expatriates, especially in these consulting firms, ITS sector and all, when the employees are being stationed abroad. So overall, I would say that the interview went very, very well. But the only problem is this interview in IIM Lucknow gets you a sure shot selection. But in ABC, the competition increases many folds. There is a sudden jump. There are levels. Everyone who is there also right now, because most of them are like blackie call getters only, or top percentilers, they have to understand that the level of institute matters. So you have level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5. As the level goes up, you need to do the wow effect. The interviewer needs something, needs to stick to the interviewer's head. उसको अच्छा लगना चाहिए, कुछ points मतलब ऐसे हो, जैसे तुमने positioning जब समझाया, product price place promotion में, कि positioning पे depend करेगा कि मैं उस decision में क्या लूंगा, उस company का क्या positioning है. अगर लुई वुइटन जैसा कंपनी है, उसका अलग इसमें काम रहेगा, कोई नॉर्मल FMCG कंपनी है, उसका अलग रहेगा. तो मतलब ये बहुत ही अच्छा पॉइंट था. लेकिन छोटे क्वेश्चंस जो नॉन रिलेटेड है, अडेप्टेबिलिटी, बिकॉज तुमने बोला तुम्हारा स्ट्रेंथ है अडेप्टेबिलिटी, तुम्हारा सेकंड पॉइंट था अडेप्टेबिलिटी, तो उस पे अच्छा समझाना है, थोड़ा सोच समझ के बोलना है, वो बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट होता है. फिर इसके अलावा मैंने बात किया था शुरू में ही BA के बारे में. तो तुमने अच्छा किया था कि BA से कि तुम MBA क्यों करना चाहते हो, उस डायरेक्शन में बेसिकली आंसर को ले जा रहे थे. यू आर काम एंड कंपोज्ड. व्हाट आई एक्सपेक्ट इज व्हेन आई टेक योर इंटरव्यू द नेक्स्ट टाइम, I will only test your general awareness. Like 80% will be general awareness, maybe 20% will be your work ex or profile. so that you understand that there is a possibility that this interview which I took may not happen in some of the interviews. It will just be something else, like a viva, that they want to know how much you know about this, how much you know about that, how much. So next interview, you need to be prepared. I'll give you 4-5 days ka time. When is your actual interview? Next actual interview?
23rd February. I am Lucknow interview is on 23rd February. Then Ahmedabad is 5th March, and Calcutta interview is on 12th March.
12th March. So whenever I take your next interview, it will be slightly tilted towards general awareness. So you
Okay.
prepare yourself accordingly. Otherwise, good job going. Just keep up doing the good work and keep your fingers crossed. You will be through.
Sure.
All the best. Goodbye to everyone, and we will meet again. Tomorrow is the general awareness session. Day after tomorrow is interview session. Day to day after tomorrow is interview session. Next weekend is a boot camp. Like this time you had IIM-A professor and you interacted with him. IIM Calcutta, say finance guy who has written 2 books. There'll be more people, some product management experts from Google and all. They'll also be coming. We'll be doing the GWPI boot camp, but the interviews will happen every day. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, every day evening 6 to 9, we'll be taking interviews. Sometimes you'll be participating, sometimes you'll be observing, learning, and posting your doubts again. All the best. Thank you. Good night. Bye, Sajal.
Thank you, sir. Bye.
Study, not good night for you guys. Like I will go home and I will sleep. You guys, like, you research, work, whatever you have to work on. Like this is your time to rise and shine. Bye.
Bye. Good night, everyone.